What if everything you thought you knew about aging and muscle health was about to change? Imagine waking up one day and realizing that your body, the one you've relied on for decades, has started to betray you. Simple tasks, getting out of bed, climbing the stairs, lifting groceries, have become harder, more exhausting. You start to feel it in your muscles. The strength that once came naturally now slips away like sand through your fingers. But what if there was a way to reverse that? What if the secret to turning back the clock wasn't found in a miracle pill, but in something far simpler, far more natural: food? This isn't just some fantastical promise made by wellness gurus or marketers hoping to cash in on our fears about aging. This is about a very real, very surprising discovery, a connection between muscle health and nutrition that could change everything for seniors everywhere. And, yes, it's coming from one of the most unexpected places, Elon Musk. Now, you might be wondering, what could Elon Musk, the tech titan, the man behind SpaceX, Tesla, and 1,000 other ventures, possibly know about muscle health? After all, his world is all about rockets, electric cars, and artificial intelligence, not about aging gracefully or maintaining muscle strength. But that's the twist: this isn't just a story about his groundbreaking innovations in technology. It's about how Musk's curiosity, combined with his own aging process, led him to explore something that could transform senior health across the globe. And what he discovered could change how we think about aging itself. But what does Elon Musk have to do with senior health and muscle strength? That's the question I'm going to answer today. And trust me, the answer will surprise you. It started like most things in Musk's life: curiosity. As Musk entered his late 40s, he found himself facing the same universal challenge that affects us all: the aging process. Despite all his success in the tech world, Musk was no stranger to the changes that happen to the body over time. And while he was known for his innovation in space exploration and electric cars, Musk began to turn his attention towards something closer to home: his own health. Musk wasn't alone in his concerns. Like millions of others, he was keenly aware of the toll that aging takes on the body. Specifically, as we get older, we lose muscle mass. This natural phenomenon, known as sarcopenia, is something that happens to everyone, albeit at different rates. For some, it's gradual, barely noticeable. For others, it happens more suddenly, often after an illness or injury. But in the long run, everyone experiences it. For seniors, losing muscle isn't just a matter of strength. It's a matter of independence, mobility, and even life expectancy. Muscle loss can lead to falls, broken bones, and a general decline in quality of life. It can make everyday activities, like getting out of bed, taking a walk, or even standing up, difficult or impossible. And as seniors lose muscle mass, they become more vulnerable to other health issues, including heart disease, diabetes, and even depression. But what if there was a way to slow, or even reverse, this process? What if there was a secret hidden in plain sight that could help seniors keep their muscles strong and functional for years longer than expected? Elon Musk, ever the problem solver, turned to the one thing he could control: his diet. Armed with his usual relentless drive for innovation, Musk began to dive deep into the science of muscle health, particularly how food could play a role in slowing or even reversing muscle loss in aging. After all, Musk's mind is wired to look for connections where others might not. He has the unique ability to see patterns in data that others miss. And what he uncovered was remarkable. He started to learn about the power of certain foods that are rich in the nutrients needed to maintain muscle mass. Protein, omega-3 fatty acids, and vitamin D, these three nutrients kept popping up in his research as essential for preserving muscle strength and fighting off the effects of aging. These weren't just theoretical claims, either. Studies from leading health institutions and aging researchers confirmed that these nutrients could actually slow down the progression of sarcopenia, the loss of muscle mass that comes with age. Musk's curiosity led him to take a bold step. He didn't just read about these nutrients, he decided to incorporate them into his own diet and track the results. Over time, he found that by focusing on these three foods, he felt stronger, more energized, and even more agile than he had in years. But it wasn't just about feeling better, there was something much bigger at play here. Musk had inadvertently stumbled upon a key that could unlock healthier aging for seniors everywhere. And that brings us back to the big question: how can seniors benefit from this discovery? What can they do to help prevent muscle loss and improve their strength as they age? The answer lies in the very foods that Musk discovered, foods that we can all easily incorporate into our diets. In this story, you'll learn about 3 foods that have the power to change everything for seniors struggling with muscle loss. These foods are not just game changers for Musk, but they have the potential to transform the lives of countless seniors who are looking for ways to improve their health and maintain their independence for years to come. But first, let's take a deeper look at the science behind muscle health. What happens to our bodies as we age, and why does it become so much harder to keep our muscles strong? How do these foods work to help preserve muscle mass, and why are they so crucial as we grow older? Stick with me as we dive into the world of muscle health and explore the power of food, because what Musk discovered might just be the key to unlocking a healthier, stronger future for all of us. Before we go any further, I want to hear from you. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning for your health. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough? Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough? Elon Musk's life has never been typical. From the moment he co-founded Zip2, then PayPal, and later pushed the boundaries of what was possible with Tesla and SpaceX, Musk has lived his life in the fast lane. But there's one aspect of his journey that often goes unnoticed: the personal battle with aging and health that he, too, has had to face. Despite his high-profile career and world-changing innovations, Musk is, after all, human. And like most people, he is not immune to the passage of time. As a tech mogul and entrepreneur, Musk's days are often filled with relentless work, meetings, and the stress of running multiple companies. This lifestyle, while rewarding in many ways, also takes a toll on the body. The long hours, late nights, and constant pressure to perform can wear anyone down. And for Musk, those tolls began to show more as he moved past his 40s. In many ways, Musk is like the millions of people around the world who, as they age, start to notice changes in their bodies that they can't ignore. You begin to feel the weight of each passing year, not just in terms of wrinkles or gray hair, but in your strength, energy, and physical abilities. Musk started to feel this, too. It was during a particularly intense period in 2018 when Musk began to seriously pay attention to his physical health. Running Tesla and SpaceX simultaneously had reached a new level of stress. Musk, famously known for his work ethic and almost obsessive commitment to his companies, was burning the candle at both ends. Despite his success, he was experiencing fatigue, mental fog, and more subtle signs of aging. His body wasn't keeping up with the demands of his mind. It was becoming harder to recover from intense workdays. Musk was aging, and he knew it. As he reflected on his own aging process, Musk realized something unsettling: there was a lack of resources specifically tailored to people like him, successful professionals who also happened to be aging and looking for ways to maintain their physical health and vitality. Despite being surrounded by cutting-edge technologies, the secret to maintaining muscle health as one ages seemed elusive. Musk, ever the problem solver, wanted to change that. But where would he begin? He turned to the science. Musk's approach to health is not dissimilar to his approach to business, data-driven and inquisitive. As someone deeply embedded in the tech world, Musk didn't just go off instinct or vague advice from wellness bloggers. Instead, he dove deep into academic research, clinical studies, and expert opinions to understand how muscle health could be preserved into later stages of life. The more he explored, the more he realized how much of the current conversation around aging was focused on external technologies like robotic prosthetics and medical treatments, yet, there was a glaring gap when it came to nutrition, which seemed far simpler, but just as powerful. He soon discovered that nutrition could play a significant role in preventing or delaying the onset of muscle loss. In fact, muscle health could be maintained, and even improved, through proper diet and exercise. It was this realization that drove Musk to explore the specific foods that could help him, and others like him, regain or preserve muscle mass as they aged. Musk's search for answers led him to the realization that muscle health was something that affected everyone, especially seniors. As we age, our muscles naturally begin to shrink, a process called sarcopenia. It's a condition that can start as early as our 30s but becomes more pronounced after 50. In many ways, it's the invisible enemy of aging. It's not something you can see on the outside, but its effects are felt deeply on the inside. You start to notice that your muscles aren't as strong, your bones aren't as resilient, and everyday activities become harder. What Musk discovered next was truly eye-opening. The solution wasn't just about taking more supplements or exercising more rigorously. It was about incorporating certain foods into his diet that could help his body fight against muscle deterioration. These weren't just random foods, they were backed by solid scientific evidence and had proven benefits for muscle preservation. It's important to note that Musk wasn't just interested in these findings for himself. He was genuinely curious about how these foods could improve the health of older generations, particularly seniors who were grappling with muscle loss and frailty. Musk's focus wasn't just on longevity for the sake of longevity, it was about enhancing the quality of life, about making sure that as we age, we could still live our lives to the fullest. As a busy executive with little time to waste, Musk incorporated these foods into his diet gradually, carefully observing the changes. His research found that key nutrients, like protein, omega-3 fatty acids, and vitamin D, were crucial for muscle health. Musk believed that if he could prove the efficacy of these foods in his own life, he could help millions of seniors who might be suffering in silence. Elon Musk's personal story is more than just about a tech mogul searching for ways to stay healthy, it's a story about how one man's quest to improve his own physical health led to an exploration of how food can empower seniors to take control of their well-being. Musk's willingness to embrace his vulnerabilities and approach aging with curiosity and scientific rigor shows us that no matter who you are, the path to better health is always within reach. And now, we're about to take a deeper look at the foods that Musk discovered, the 3 foods that can help preserve muscle mass and restore vitality. These foods aren't just for billionaires or tech moguls, they're for anyone who wants to fight the inevitable process of aging and take control of their muscle health. But before we dive into the specifics of these foods, let's explore the science behind aging and muscle loss, so we can better understand why these particular nutrients are so critical to our well-being. Stay tuned, because what you'll learn next could change everything you thought you knew about aging. As we age, there's one thing that seems to quietly yet relentlessly take its toll, our muscles. For most of us, the first signs are subtle. We may feel a little more winded after climbing stairs or notice that lifting the grocery bags isn't as easy as it once was. But what begins as a mild inconvenience soon becomes a pressing concern. Muscle loss, also known as sarcopenia, is something that affects nearly everyone as they grow older, and its consequences can be far more serious than we realize. Sarcopenia is a natural process. From our early 30s, we begin losing muscle mass at a rate of about 3% to 8% per decade. While it may seem gradual at first, the effects of muscle loss accumulate over time, and by the time we hit our 60s and 70s, the impact can be dramatic. What's worse is that it isn't just about strength. Muscle loss affects mobility, balance, and flexibility, making us more prone to falls and injuries. It also has a cascading effect on our overall health. The less muscle we have, the slower our metabolism, the higher our risk of chronic diseases like diabetes, and the more difficulty we have recovering from illness or injury. This decline in physical function can rob seniors of their independence, forcing them to rely on others for help with basic tasks like getting up from a chair, walking, or carrying groceries. It's not just about a loss of physical strength, it's about the loss of quality of life, of freedom. Seniors with severe muscle loss can often feel isolated, helpless, and trapped in their own bodies. It can lead to depression, anxiety, and a general sense of hopelessness. It's a harsh reality, but it's a reality that is affecting millions of people around the world. And while the science of aging is complex, there is one thing that is clear: We don't have to accept this decline as inevitable. There are ways to slow down or even reverse the effects of muscle loss. And as Elon Musk discovered, the answer might lie in something as simple as food. When Musk first started researching ways to combat the effects of aging on his own body, he was surprised by how little was being said about nutrition in the conversation surrounding sarcopenia. Most of the focus was on physical activity, medications, and advanced technologies. While these are all important factors, Musk realized that the missing piece of the puzzle was something far more accessible: the food we eat. Our diet plays a crucial role in maintaining muscle mass and overall health. While we may focus on getting enough protein or exercise, the truth is that the right nutrients can have a profound effect on our muscle health, especially as we age. This realization led Musk to delve into the specifics of which foods could actually help slow down or even reverse the muscle loss associated with aging. And he didn't stop at just reading studies and articles. Musk wanted to know what these foods could actually do in real life. He wanted to see the effects firsthand. But there was one major problem: the science was scattered, and much of the information was either contradictory or vague. There was a lot of focus on supplements, but little concrete advice on how to use food as a tool for muscle preservation. Musk, ever the problem solver, knew that if he could bring clarity to this issue, he could help millions of people. As he dug deeper, Musk began to focus on three key nutrients: protein, omega-3 fatty acids, and vitamin D. These nutrients, backed by a growing body of research, had been shown to support muscle health in seniors. Musk's own experiment with these foods revealed something remarkable. His energy levels improved. His muscles felt stronger, more resilient. And the best part? It wasn't just a short-term improvement. Over time, Musk noticed sustained increases in his strength and mobility, despite his demanding schedule. The findings were promising, but they also revealed a bigger problem: how could we, as a society, make these changes accessible to seniors everywhere? It wasn't just about offering a solution to one person, it was about changing the way we think about aging and health. Musk realized that his discovery could have profound implications for senior health globally, but only if people understood how crucial these three foods were. And this is where the rising conflict comes into play. The solution was clear, but the real challenge lay in getting the word out, in educating seniors and the broader population about the importance of these foods. The road to better muscle health wasn't just about eating the right foods, it was about overcoming years of misinformation, confusion, and a general lack of awareness. Musk understood this, and he was determined to make sure that what he had discovered wouldn't stay hidden in academic papers or research labs. He wanted to make this knowledge accessible to everyone, especially seniors, the group most at risk. The fight to change public perception would not be easy. Seniors, for the most part, weren't going to start eating more fish or drinking fortified milk just because a billionaire tech mogul said so. There was skepticism to overcome, old habits to break, and a healthcare system that often overlooked the importance of nutrition in favor of medications and treatments. Musk's mission to change the narrative around aging and muscle health would require more than just research and personal anecdotes. It would require a movement, a shift in how society approached the aging process. It was at this point that Musk realized he couldn't do this alone. He needed to bring experts, doctors, nutritionists, and, most importantly, seniors themselves, into the conversation. Together, they could form a coalition to spread the message of muscle health through food. They could create a shift in public opinion, showing the world that there was a simple, natural way to preserve muscle mass and live a healthier, more independent life. But first, the groundwork needed to be laid. Musk knew that the key to success wasn't just in providing the information, it was in making sure people took action. And action would only come when people realized that these simple dietary changes could have a profound impact on their lives. They needed to see that these foods weren't just for the elite or the ultra-wealthy, they were for everyone. Seniors didn't need to wait for a miracle pill or futuristic technology. They just needed to make small changes to their diets, changes that Musk had proven could improve muscle health over time. The stakes couldn't have been higher. Millions of seniors were silently struggling with the effects of muscle loss, not knowing that the answer might lie in their kitchens, in the very foods they consumed every day. The time to act was now. But how could Musk and his team make this information accessible to those who needed it most? In the next chapter, we'll explore how Musk's journey led him to the discovery of the 3 essential foods that every senior needs to hear about, and how these foods can help transform muscle health for good. After discovering the importance of protein, omega-3 fatty acids, and vitamin D in maintaining muscle health, Elon Musk was not content to merely improve his own health. As a visionary who had already changed the world of electric cars, space exploration, and artificial intelligence, Musk couldn't stop at just personal success. He realized that this discovery had the potential to impact millions of seniors around the world who were quietly struggling with the effects of muscle loss. Musk's quest to bring this knowledge to the broader public took him on an unexpected journey, one that brought him face to face with both the opportunities and challenges of using his position to improve global health. His experience navigating the tech world had given him the skills to disrupt industries, but in the world of health and wellness, the battle was far more complex. The journey would not just involve advancing the conversation about muscle health, it would require changing deeply ingrained beliefs, overcoming skepticism, and tackling widespread misinformation. As Musk began to think about how to turn his findings into a movement, he had a critical realization: while the science behind the importance of these nutrients was clear, the real challenge was creating accessible and actionable solutions for the general public, especially seniors. The problem wasn't just about knowing which foods were beneficial, it was about how to incorporate them into a lifestyle that would be sustainable for older adults, many of whom may have lived for decades with poor eating habits or a limited understanding of nutrition. He knew that these 3 key foods, protein, omega-3 fatty acids, and vitamin D, were crucial, but getting people to take action would require more than just giving them a list of foods. Musk wanted to provide a holistic solution, something that could be easily implemented into daily routines, especially for those who weren't familiar with the science of nutrition or the importance of muscle health. The first step was reaching out to experts in the field, nutritionists, gerontologists, and medical researchers who had studied the aging process and the link between diet and muscle health. Musk realized that he didn't have to reinvent the wheel, there was already a wealth of research supporting the connection between diet and aging, but it hadn't been communicated effectively to the public. Musk set out to change that, gathering experts to create a clear, straightforward message that could be shared with the masses. One of the biggest challenges Musk faced was overcoming the widespread misconception that muscle health was something that could only be addressed with medication or heavy exercise. While exercise is undoubtedly important, Musk learned that many seniors could benefit just as much, if not more, from focusing on their diets. Muscle loss was not an inevitable result of aging, it could be slowed, halted, or even reversed with the right nutrition. However, this message had to be delivered in a way that didn't feel overwhelming or intimidating to the people who needed it most. Musk's next challenge was the logistics of getting this information into the hands of seniors. The average senior may not have access to the latest health trends or even know where to find reliable information. They might be overwhelmed by the complex language used in health articles, or they might be skeptical of yet another fad diet promising miracle results. Musk knew that breaking through this barrier would require something that most health organizations weren't offering: clarity, simplicity, and a clear action plan. After months of research, collaboration with experts, and multiple rounds of testing and feedback, Musk's team developed a straightforward, easy-to-follow program designed to help seniors incorporate these muscle-strengthening foods into their daily routines. The goal wasn't to overhaul people's entire diets, it was about making small, sustainable changes that could yield big results over time. But Musk didn't stop there. He understood that the key to real change wasn't just about what people ate, it was about fostering a sense of empowerment. Musk's vision extended beyond just helping seniors maintain muscle mass. He wanted to help them regain their independence, their mobility, and their confidence. Muscle health wasn't just about living longer, it was about living better. The program Musk developed had a 3-step approach. 1. Incorporating protein-rich foods. The first step focused on increasing the intake of lean protein, which is essential for muscle repair and growth. For seniors, This meant adding foods like chicken, fish, eggs, and plant-based protein sources like beans and lentils into their meals. But the key wasn't just about eating protein, it was about timing. Musk learned that spreading protein intake throughout the day, rather than consuming it all in one meal, was more effective at maintaining muscle mass. Seniors could start with simple changes, like adding a boiled egg to breakfast or including a portion of fish with dinner. 2. Omega-3 fatty acids for muscle preservation. Next, Musk emphasized the importance of omega-3 fatty acids. These healthy fats, found in foods like salmon, walnuts, and flax seeds, play a crucial role in reducing inflammation, which can help protect muscles from damage as we age. Omega-3s also support brain health, which is equally important as we get older. Musk's team worked with nutritionists to develop easy recipes and meal plans that incorporated these omega-3 rich foods in ways that were both simple and tasty. Seniors could start by adding a handful of walnuts to their morning oatmeal or enjoying a serving of grilled salmon twice a week. 3. Vitamin D to enhance muscle function. Finally, Musk's program included the inclusion of vitamin D, which is essential for muscle function and bone health. Vitamin D helps the body absorb calcium, which is critical for maintaining bone density and preventing falls. Since many seniors are at risk of vitamin D deficiency due to limited sun exposure, Musk recommended foods like fortified milk, egg yolks, and mushrooms. Additionally, spending a little time in the sun each day could help seniors boost their vitamin D levels naturally. With these three essential elements in place, Musk's program was designed to give seniors the tools they needed to start improving their muscle health right away. The approach was practical, with easy-to-follow guidelines and no complicated jargon. The goal was to make muscle health accessible, realistic, and achievable for everyone. But there was still one major obstacle: reaching the people who needed this information the most. Seniors were often the hardest group to reach, as they might not be as tech-savvy or tuned into the latest health trends. Musk knew that the key to making this program a success was getting it in front of as many people as possible. He turned to social media, influencers, and healthcare organizations to help spread the word. He also began working with senior living communities, health professionals, and dietitians to get the message directly to those who could benefit from it. This was Musk's climactic moment, a convergence of his personal journey, his expertise in problem solving, and his mission to change the lives of seniors. As he worked to create real, sustainable change, Musk felt the weight of the impact his program could have. This wasn't just another product, this was a revolution in how we approached aging and muscle health. But as always with great challenges, the road ahead was far from easy. The fight against muscle loss was just beginning, and the impact of Musk's discoveries was about to hit its emotional climax. The moment Elon Musk had been working toward had arrived. His program, built on the foundation of simple yet powerful nutritional principles, was gaining traction. The impact was beginning to be felt by some of the seniors who had joined his initiative, and the results were startling. But as is often the case with change, the initial successes were met with fierce resistance, unexpected obstacles, and emotional moments that would test Musk's resolve. Seniors who had felt trapped in their bodies, limited by the effects of aging, began reporting improvements. Those who could hardly get up from a chair without assistance were noticing that they could stand a little taller, walk a little farther. Some even shared that they felt a renewed sense of hope and confidence, no longer dreading the slow, inevitable decline they had once feared. And, perhaps most significantly, seniors were now seeing how the foods Musk had championed were not just about muscle strength, but about their overall quality of life. But with this progress came a harsh reality: not everyone was convinced. The idea of focusing on diet and food rather than pills or medical treatments was met with skepticism by many. Critics and naysayers, some from the medical community, others from the world of pharmaceuticals, began questioning Musk's approach. Could food really be the answer to muscle loss? Could something as simple as eating more fish or taking a daily dose of vitamin D truly prevent or reverse sarcopenia? The questions piled up, and with them, a wave of doubt. Musk was no stranger to criticism. He had faced countless hurdles throughout his career, whether in launching Tesla, getting SpaceX off the ground, or advancing artificial intelligence. Yet, this felt different. This wasn't just about building electric cars or rockets, it was about something far more personal, something that touched the lives of millions of vulnerable people. His mission to combat muscle loss in seniors had become his most emotionally charged journey yet. One afternoon, Musk received a message from a senior named Linda, who had been following the program for just over a month. Linda was a 68-year-old widow who had been struggling with severe muscle weakness for years. She had once been an avid gardener, but now she could hardly tend to her plants without feeling fatigued. Musk had personally communicated with Linda when she first joined the program, encouraging her to stick with the changes, even if the improvements were small at first. Linda's message was simple: "Elon, I never thought I would be able to do this again, but today I walked to my garden and tended to my flowers. It was slow, and I took breaks, but I did it. I feel like myself again. Thank you." The message brought tears to Musk's eyes. It wasn't just about the physical changes Linda had experienced, it was about how her confidence and sense of self had returned. Musk had always believed that technology and innovation should serve humanity, but this moment made him realize that his work could have an even deeper impact than he had imagined. It was not just about creating new inventions, it was about helping people rediscover themselves. But there were also other messages of frustration, skepticism, and doubt. Some seniors struggled to stick with the dietary changes, finding it difficult to adjust to new foods or ways of eating. Others found it hard to believe that something so simple could make a real difference. "I've tried everything over the years," one senior wrote. "No diet or pill has ever helped me feel stronger. I don't think this will work either." These messages weighed heavily on Musk. Despite the success stories, the road was not without its obstacles. He knew that not all of the answers were as simple as they seemed. The human body was incredibly complex, and even with the best intentions, there were no guarantees. Some seniors, for reasons beyond diet, might continue to struggle with muscle loss or other age-related health issues. Musk understood that these challenges couldn't be solved with a one-size-fits-all approach. But that didn't mean he was ready to give up. If anything, the resistance only fueled his determination. He realized that the fight wasn't just about convincing the skeptical, it was about making sure that the message was accessible to everyone, no matter where they were in their journey. For those who struggled with the changes, Musk knew that finding personalized solutions, working with healthcare providers, and being patient was just as important as the program itself. There had to be room for flexibility, understanding that everyone's body was different, and that dietary changes could take time to show results. It was at this point that Musk turned to a team of psychologists and behavior experts. If the program was to reach its full potential, they would need to address the emotional and psychological barriers that many seniors faced when it came to change. This wasn't just about food, it was about mindset. For some, accepting that they could still improve their health after years of decline was the hardest step of all. For others, it was the emotional weight of aging itself, the fear of losing independence, the anxiety of feeling like a burden, or the frustration of not being able to do things they once loved. Working with experts, Musk developed a new approach, one that included regular check-ins, motivational support, and a community aspect. Seniors who joined the program were no longer just participants, they were part of a movement, a larger community working together toward better health. By sharing their struggles, their successes, and their tips with one another, they could build the emotional resilience needed to push through the inevitable setbacks. In one of Musk's more personal moments, he shared his own experience with the program. He admitted that the changes hadn't always been easy for him either. As a busy entrepreneur, he was constantly on the move, juggling multiple projects. But he had seen how important it was to prioritize his own health, not just for himself, but for the example it set for others. Musk shared how, at times, he too had been frustrated by the slow progress, but how those small victories, like noticing more energy during his long workdays or being able to take a longer walk, kept him going. He knew that this wasn't going to be easy. He knew that change took time and that not everyone would see immediate results. But as he reflected on the messages, the successes, and the struggles, Musk felt something new, a deep sense of hope. The journey was just beginning, and while there were many hurdles ahead, he was more determined than ever to ensure that no senior ever had to feel as though aging had to mean losing the best parts of themselves. The journey toward better muscle health was not just about science or food, it was about reclaiming independence, dignity, and hope. And for those who were willing to take the first step, the rewards were more profound than they could ever have imagined. The emotional climax was not just in the success stories, it was in the struggle, the doubt, and the perseverance. And with each step forward, Musk knew that the future of senior health was being rewritten, one meal, one small change at a time. As Elon Musk continued to refine his approach to promoting muscle health among seniors, the program began to take on a life of its own. What had initially started as an idea to help combat sarcopenia, muscle loss associated with aging, had blossomed into something much larger. It was no longer just a health initiative, it had evolved into a movement that aimed to redefine aging itself. With the powerful message of strength through nutrition, Musk's approach was slowly but surely turning skepticism into conviction and doubt into action. But as with any major undertaking, the journey wasn't without its challenges. Despite the success stories pouring in, seniors who had found renewed strength, better mobility, and even a return to the activities they had once loved, there were still obstacles. Some seniors struggled with the dietary changes, others found the mental and emotional work just as difficult as the physical changes. The hardest part wasn't just creating a program, it was making it sustainable, not just for a few months but for a lifetime. Yet, Musk never wavered. He knew that the process of changing habits was long and challenging, but he also knew that the results were worth it. As he looked at the faces of the seniors who had embraced his program, he couldn't help but feel a profound sense of satisfaction. This was the change he had been waiting for, not the flashy headlines of a new technology or business venture, but the quiet transformation of lives. It wasn't just about muscle mass, it was about restoring dignity. It was about giving people the ability to look at themselves in the mirror and say, "I'm not done yet. I still have more to give." Through the initiative, Musk found a new kind of purpose. In the tech world, he was known for his grand ambitions, building cars that could drive themselves, sending people to Mars, and creating artificial intelligence. But this was something different. This was not a project he could simply scale with a few investments or breakthrough technologies. This was deeply personal. It was about people, about the real human experience of aging and the struggles that came with it. It was about the opportunity to be a part of something much greater than any one person, a chance to be a force for good in the lives of millions. But Musk knew that in order to fully honor this mission, it wasn't enough to rely on word of mouth or personal testimonials. The health and wellness industry was full of competing programs, diets, and quick fixes. To truly make a lasting impact, Musk needed to leverage his platform, his voice, and his influence in the most strategic way possible. That's when he had an idea: what if the program could be broadcast far and wide, not just in one-on-one consultations or through online courses, but through mass media? What if the same methods he had used to launch Tesla or SpaceX could be applied to spreading the word about muscle health? Musk partnered with a team of marketing and media experts to develop a global awareness campaign. They created compelling videos, social media ads, and even a documentary series showcasing the real-life transformations of seniors who had embraced the program. These videos didn't focus solely on the science or the nutritional benefits, though. Instead, they told the emotional stories of real people, people like Linda, who had found strength again after years of decline, and people like George, a retired firefighter who had been skeptical at first but now could lift his grandkids without pain. The campaign went viral, capturing the attention of media outlets, health organizations, and even government officials who had been struggling with the rising costs of healthcare for aging populations. The message was clear: muscle health wasn't just about looking strong, it was about living strong. And living strong wasn't a privilege for the young, it was a right for everyone, no matter their age. The documentary series culminated in a powerful episode that brought Musk face to face with the people whose lives he had touched. It was an emotional reunion of sorts. Musk sat with the seniors who had used his program, listened to their stories, and saw firsthand the transformative power of the changes they had made. Some were in tears, not just because of their physical transformation, but because they had regained something far more valuable, their independence and a renewed sense of purpose. "I never thought I'd feel this good again," one of the seniors said, holding back tears. "I've been afraid for so long that aging would take away everything. But now, I feel like I can live again." Musk, visibly moved, responded, "I didn't just want to give you strength. I wanted to give you the power to live without fear. We're all capable of more than we think." It was this moment, this powerful exchange, that solidified Musk's commitment to the cause. No matter how many obstacles lay ahead, he knew this was a mission worth pursuing. And as the campaign spread worldwide, more and more seniors began to embrace the program, finding their own paths to healthier, stronger lives. But the story didn't end with the success of the program. Musk's work in muscle health sparked a larger conversation about aging and wellness. Researchers began diving deeper into the science of nutrition and muscle preservation, and governments began allocating more resources toward preventative care for the aging population. In communities across the globe, people started to take a proactive approach to aging, viewing it not as a time of decline, but as an opportunity to live a better, fuller life. Looking back, Musk reflected on the unexpected turns this journey had taken. It had been messy, emotional, and at times, frustrating. But it had also been transformative, not just for the seniors whose lives had been improved, but for him as well. The lessons he had learned through this journey were ones that he could never have anticipated. He had come to realize that innovation wasn't just about creating new technology or pushing the boundaries of what was possible. It was about finding solutions to real problems and making those solutions accessible to everyone. As he looked ahead to the future, Musk knew the work was far from finished. The movement to combat muscle loss among seniors had only just begun, and there were many more lives to touch. But the foundation had been laid. And with each passing day, more people were waking up to the fact that it wasn't too late to make a change, no matter their age. The message that had begun as a small spark of inspiration had now become a beacon of hope, shining brighter than ever before. "Strength isn't just for the young," Musk had said. "It's for everyone. And it's never too late to start." And so, the story of muscle health continued, one meal, one senior, and one moment of hope at a time. The success of Elon Musk's muscle health program had ignited something far greater than anyone had expected. What had started as a simple nutritional guide for seniors had now become a worldwide movement, reshaping the way society viewed aging. The transformation wasn't just about physical health, it was a cultural shift in how the world perceived the elderly, their capabilities, and their potential for growth. With the campaign reaching millions of people globally, the message was spreading faster than anyone had anticipated. Seniors were no longer seen as frail, passive individuals waiting for their time to come. They were empowered individuals with a renewed sense of strength, autonomy, and pride. Families were beginning to take note, caregivers were adopting new strategies to support their loved ones, and even healthcare providers were adjusting their treatment plans to include nutrition as a central component of care. As the program grew, Musk was faced with the growing need to expand and evolve. In the beginning, the initiative had been focused on a simple but powerful message: the power of food and exercise in preserving muscle health. But now, he realized that the conversation needed to broaden. Muscle health was just one piece of a much larger puzzle, one that involved mental health, emotional well-being, and social connections. To that end, Musk began collaborating with experts in geriatric care, psychology, and social work. Together, they developed a more holistic approach that recognized that aging was not just about the physical body, but about the mind and spirit as well. The new program, dubbed Strength for Life, went beyond the basics of nutrition to incorporate activities that promoted mental sharpness, emotional resilience, and social engagement. Musk also took steps to make sure that the program was accessible to all seniors, regardless of their economic situation. He partnered with several non-profit organizations and governments to ensure that those who couldn't afford high-end foods or supplements would still have access to the vital resources they needed. Free seminars, community events, and online resources were made available to seniors everywhere. Musk believed that health wasn't a luxury, it was a fundamental right. Soon, the impact of the program was being felt not only in households but also in institutions. Nursing homes, retirement communities, and senior centers began incorporating the program into their daily routines. Rather than relying solely on conventional treatments, these institutions recognized that empowering their residents through proper nutrition, exercise, and emotional support would lead to a better quality of life for everyone involved. But the ripple effect didn't stop there. Around the world, governments were taking notice. In places where healthcare systems were overwhelmed by the increasing number of aging populations, Musk's program offered a viable solution to the mounting crisis of senior health. Countries that had been struggling to provide adequate care for their elderly citizens began to adopt policies that prioritized prevention, encouraging seniors to take charge of their own health and invest in their well-being long before they reached their senior years. Musk, ever the visionary, began speaking at international forums and conferences, urging world leaders to think beyond traditional models of healthcare. If we want to address the future of healthcare, we need to start looking at aging as an opportunity, not a decline, he said during one keynote speech. Our goal shouldn't just be to keep people alive longer. It should be to help them live better, stronger, and with dignity. His words resonated with many policymakers. In countries where aging populations were a significant concern, Musk's vision was now being incorporated into long-term health policies. Governments started to invest in preventative care programs, focusing on muscle health and overall wellness for seniors, and some countries even began to offer tax incentives for companies that provided nutritional supplements and services tailored to seniors' needs. The private sector also responded. Musk's influence had reached beyond the medical field and into the realm of food production and healthcare technology. Major food companies began to reformulate products with aging populations in mind, providing more nutrient-dense options that catered to muscle maintenance and general health. New startups focused on supplements, exercise equipment, and even virtual health consultations for seniors sprang up, all inspired by Musk's vision of a world where aging was seen as an opportunity to live stronger, not weaker. However, despite the monumental success of the program, Musk was keenly aware that there was still much work to be done. He continued to push for innovations in the senior care space, particularly around making health monitoring more accessible. He envisioned a future where seniors could track their muscle health, nutrition, and overall wellness with the ease of a mobile app or wearable device. By integrating artificial intelligence and data analytics, Musk believed that technology could help seniors personalize their care plans, identify potential health risks early, and receive proactive interventions that would help them live longer, healthier lives. The success of the program also prompted a shift in how the public viewed aging. Media outlets across the world began to feature stories of seniors who had transformed their lives by embracing the program. There were documentaries, news segments, and even reality shows focused on seniors rediscovering their strength, both physically and emotionally. The cultural stigma that once surrounded aging was slowly but surely being dismantled. In one such segment, a 75-year-old former professional dancer named Margaret shared her journey on national television. She had been a prominent ballerina in her youth but had struggled with severe muscle weakness in her later years. After joining the program, Margaret regained her ability to dance and even began teaching ballet to young children at her local community center. "I thought I was done," Margaret said through tears, "but now I feel like I have a second chance. I may be older, but I'm still capable of doing things I never thought possible." Musk watched these stories unfold from behind the scenes, amazed at how much the program had evolved. He had expected his initiative to help people, but he had never imagined that it would spark a global movement, one that would shift the entire narrative about aging and wellness. The success stories were countless, and with each one, Musk felt a deeper connection to the cause. He was no longer just helping seniors regain their strength, he was helping them rediscover their purpose. As the years passed, Musk continued to refine the program, working tirelessly to make sure it reached more people, more communities, and more nations. He knew that the work was far from finished. There were still millions of seniors out there who had yet to discover the program, and he was determined to ensure that no one was left behind. Looking back on the journey, Musk couldn't help but feel a profound sense of pride. This had been one of the most impactful projects of his career, not because of the technology, the innovation, or the accolades, but because of the tangible difference it had made in the lives of real people. The ripple effect had only just begun. The world had been irrevocably changed, and Musk's vision for aging was only beginning to gain traction. The transformation that had started with a simple focus on muscle health for seniors had rippled outward, sparking a new era of awareness and action around aging. What had initially seemed like a niche issue, muscle loss in older adults, was now part of a broader conversation about how society could shift its mindset on aging as a whole. Seniors were no longer relegated to the sidelines, they were front and center, not as people in decline, but as powerful individuals still capable of leading fulfilling, vibrant lives. As the global impact of the muscle health program continued to grow, more and more countries began to adjust their public health policies to reflect this new understanding. In the United States, for instance, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, began collaborating with Musk's team to incorporate the program's principles into their guidelines for senior care. This partnership made it clear that this wasn't just a passing trend, it was a movement toward a more sustainable, holistic approach to aging. The CDC issued new recommendations encouraging seniors to engage in strength-building activities and to adopt muscle-preserving diets, following Musk's example. But Musk didn't stop there. He saw the power of technology as a means to make muscle health a priority not just for seniors but for every person. His belief that technology could be used to democratize healthcare was a central pillar of the new wave of aging initiatives. With this in mind, Musk's next big project was to integrate muscle health and overall wellness into a digital platform, a place where individuals of all ages could access personalized health assessments and advice. The platform, named Vitality, offered a comprehensive suite of tools and services. It utilized AI-driven health assessments to track muscle strength, nutritional habits, sleep patterns, and mental well-being. Users could access a virtual coach who would guide them through daily exercises, offer meal suggestions based on their muscle health needs, and even provide motivational tips to help users stay on track. Vitality's launch was met with widespread excitement, especially among older adults who had struggled to find affordable, accessible resources tailored to their unique health needs. No longer did they have to navigate confusing medical jargon or make do with generalized health advice. Vitality made it clear that each person's body had its own unique requirements, and the platform allowed users to track their progress over time, adjusting their routines and goals as needed. The success of Vitality was undeniable. Within the first year of launch, millions of people worldwide had signed up for the service, with the majority being seniors who had already embraced Musk's muscle health program. Many seniors shared how the platform had not only improved their physical health but had also given them a sense of connection. The virtual community was a place for support and shared experiences, where seniors from different backgrounds could come together to discuss their journeys and cheer each other on. But the ripple effect wasn't confined solely to those using the platform. In communities across the globe, the message of muscle health began to reach younger generations. The youth, inspired by the older generation's transformation, started to reconsider their own approach to aging. They began to view aging as something they could prepare for, not something to dread. The importance of building muscle early in life was emphasized, and schools started incorporating strength training into their physical education curriculums. The conversations shifted from how to avoid aging to how to age well. What started as a senior initiative had become a movement that spanned generations, reshaping society's expectations of what it meant to grow older. Seniors weren't seen as a burden on society, but as valuable contributors with rich experiences and expertise. They were embraced as mentors, advisors, and leaders in their communities. One notable success story was that of Harold, a former lawyer who had been skeptical about the program when he first encountered it. At 78, Harold was convinced that his days of being active were long behind him. But after his daughter encouraged him to try the muscle health program, Harold slowly began to incorporate strength training into his routine. Over time, his back pain diminished, his energy levels soared, and his posture improved. Harold was no longer just a participant, he became an advocate. He shared his story on a national stage, inspiring others in his age group to consider the possibilities that Musk's program had opened up for them. In one powerful interview, Harold said, "I never thought I could feel this good again. I've got years left in me now, and I'm not just sitting on the sidelines anymore. I'm living, really living, again." This was a moment that reflected the growing trend in society. Aging was being redefined, not just as a biological inevitability, but as an opportunity to live more fully, more actively, and more meaningfully. Musk recognized that the shift wasn't just a matter of physical health, it was about changing the way society viewed aging. The underlying message was clear: the older generation wasn't something to be fixed or treated. They were a dynamic group of people who had a wealth of experiences, wisdom, and capabilities. Society needed to embrace that. And in many ways, the success of the Muscle Health Initiative was leading the charge in that societal change. But for Musk, there was still one major hurdle to tackle: how could he make these changes sustainable in the long term? How could he ensure that future generations would continue to prioritize muscle health and aging well, and that the lessons learned would endure long after his program had been fully implemented? He began to work on initiatives that could integrate these concepts into the very fabric of society. Local governments began providing subsidies for seniors to access healthy foods that promoted muscle growth. Businesses offered discounts on gym memberships and exercise equipment for seniors. Musk even began advocating for policy changes that would allow senior-friendly gyms to be built in every community. It was clear that the success of the program had sparked a collective desire for more. One of the most impactful developments was the way that intergenerational communities started to emerge. Families and neighbors began to gather together for group exercise classes and nutrition workshops. The focus was no longer on the separation of age groups, but on creating a society that celebrated and included all ages, where seniors could interact with younger generations, sharing stories, advice, and, of course, health tips. Musk had always been about pushing the boundaries of what's possible. But this was different. This wasn't about conquering a new frontier in space or technology. This was about revolutionizing the way people thought about their time on Earth, and he knew that this was the most important mission of his life. The ripple effect from Musk's Muscle Health Initiative had only just begun, but the momentum was unstoppable. As the world moved into a new era of aging, one thing was clear: with the right combination of knowledge, technology, and community, the best years of life could be ahead, no matter how old you were. The impact of Musk's Muscle Health Initiative had long since exceeded expectations. What began as a simple message about the importance of muscle health for seniors had evolved into a global movement, redefining not just how the elderly lived, but how society viewed aging itself. People were no longer resigning themselves to frailty in their later years, they were taking action, building strength, and living with vitality and purpose. And this shift was felt on every continent, as countries, communities, and individuals began to embrace the new paradigm Musk had inspired. Musk, true to his nature, was already thinking several steps ahead. He understood that for this transformation to last, it needed to be institutionalized, woven into the fabric of societies around the world. The momentum had started with the introduction of the Muscle Health Program, but now, he aimed to change the very infrastructure of senior care, healthcare policy, and even the way we educate future generations about aging. One of the most significant milestones came when the United Nations adopted a resolution calling for global initiatives to address the health and well-being of aging populations. Musk was invited to speak at the 2027 UN Global Health Summit, where he shared his vision for the future of aging and muscle health, urging world leaders to focus on preventative care rather than just treating illness. "There's a revolution happening," Musk said, addressing a room full of policymakers and healthcare leaders. "But it's not happening in the hospital rooms or the research labs. It's happening in the homes, the gyms, the kitchens, and in the hearts of people who are taking control of their health. If we can embrace that, if we can prioritize muscle health, nutrition, and mental well-being, then we can change the way the world ages. This is not just about living longer, it's about living better. His words resonated deeply with the international community. Countries began to collaborate on global standards for senior wellness, with an emphasis on holistic approaches that included physical health, mental well-being, and social connectivity. Musk's initiative wasn't just about individual wellness anymore, it was about reshaping entire healthcare systems to support a society where aging was celebrated, not feared. Meanwhile, the success of the Vitality platform reached new heights. What had started as an app offering muscle health guidance was now an integrated part of daily life for millions. It had expanded beyond seniors to serve people of all ages, with specific features tailored to each stage of life. For younger users, the platform offered advice on muscle-building exercises and healthy habits to prevent future muscle loss. For middle-aged users, Vitality provided strategies to maintain strength as they entered their 40s and 50s. And for seniors, it offered the same level of personalized care and support that had first launched the program into the spotlight. The platform had also become a hub for social engagement, where users could share their progress, seek advice, and celebrate their victories. For many, this sense of community was one of the most powerful aspects of the program. Seniors, who had once felt isolated and invisible, were now empowered and connected. They were part of a global movement that celebrated their strength, resilience, and potential. In one of the most touching stories shared on the platform, Clara, a 72-year-old widow from Chicago, posted about her experience. "I never thought I'd be doing push-ups at my age," she wrote, sharing a photo of herself mid-rep with a big smile on her face. "But here I am, stronger than I've ever been. Thank you, Elon Musk, for showing me that I'm not done yet." Clara's story was just one of thousands. People were starting to take pride in their health again, not as something to be tolerated, but as something to be nurtured and celebrated. The concept of muscle health had transcended its original purpose, it had become a symbol of empowerment for people of all ages. Even within the medical community, attitudes were changing. Traditional approaches to aging, which had often focused on symptom management and treatment, were now being augmented with prevention-focused practices. Doctors, nutritionists, and therapists were becoming advocates for the muscle health movement, incorporating it into their treatment plans for patients of all ages. Healthcare systems were investing in educational programs for medical professionals to learn about the importance of maintaining muscle strength and how it could improve overall health outcomes. Musk had envisioned a world where technology, nutrition, and human connection could work together to create a healthier aging population. But he also recognized that the physical aspects of health needed to be paired with emotional and mental wellness. For this reason, Musk had begun to invest in mental health initiatives aimed at seniors. His team developed an integrated program that combined muscle-building exercises with activities that promoted cognitive health, such as mindfulness, meditation, and brain-training games. This comprehensive approach, what Musk referred to as the total wellness model, became the gold standard in senior care. It was about more than just muscles, it was about creating an ecosystem of support that ensured seniors could thrive in all aspects of life. The model was implemented in senior living communities across the globe, and its success was undeniable. Seniors were not only living longer, but they were living with a sense of purpose, joy, and fulfillment. But Musk didn't stop with just the elderly. One of his next goals was to ensure that muscle health and overall well-being became integral to the education system. He envisioned a world where students learn not only about the importance of academic knowledge but also about physical health, nutrition, and how to maintain strength throughout their lives. In a groundbreaking partnership with educational institutions worldwide, Musk launched a pilot program called Vital Strength, which was incorporated into school curriculums. Students were taught the importance of strength-building exercises and healthy nutrition from a young age. Schools across the globe began offering physical education classes that emphasized muscle health, and parents were encouraged to support their children's physical development with home workouts and healthy meals. Musk's ultimate vision was a world where people understood the importance of aging well, where seniors were empowered to take control of their health, and where communities, both young and old, work together to support one another in the pursuit of long, healthy, and fulfilling lives. And, as the years passed, the movement continued to gather steam. From small communities in rural areas to bustling urban centers, from schools to senior living homes, the message was clear: aging wasn't a decline, it was an opportunity to live better, stronger, and with more purpose than ever before. Musk looked at the state of the world with a sense of pride, knowing that the ripple effect of his initiative was now a global tidal wave. The movement he had started had sparked a new era of health, connection, and possibility, one where aging was no longer a process of slowing down, but a chance to start anew, stronger and more resilient than ever. The muscle health revolution was now undeniable. What had started as a mission to improve the lives of seniors had evolved into a global phenomenon, reshaping the way people viewed aging, health, and wellness. But with great change came inevitable challenges. While the world was starting to embrace Musk's vision, the path to this new era was far from smooth. There were obstacles, skepticism, and even resistance along the way. However, with each challenge, the movement grew stronger, and the vision of a healthier, more empowered global population was becoming a reality. One of the first and most significant challenges was overcoming the deep-seated societal belief that aging was a time of inevitable decline. For generations, aging had been associated with weakness, dependency, and the eventual loss of independence. It was a harsh, universal truth that many had come to accept. Convincing society that this narrative was outdated, that aging could be a time of growth, strength, and vitality, wasn't easy. Musk knew that to truly change the narrative, he needed to shift not just individual behaviors but cultural perceptions. He started by investing in marketing and awareness campaigns that highlighted the benefits of muscle health not just for seniors, but for people of all ages. These campaigns included testimonials from people who had transformed their lives through strength training and muscle preservation, and were often coupled with stories of older adults defying the odds to achieve extraordinary feats. One such story that caught the public's attention was that of Ruth, an 81-year-old grandmother from Portland, Oregon. Ruth had been a lifelong runner until joint pain and muscle weakness forced her to give up the sport in her 70s. She had always stayed active, but as she aged, she felt the creeping weight of muscle loss and the toll it took on her ability to move. But after learning about the muscle health program, Ruth decided to try again. She joined a local fitness class specifically tailored to seniors, and within months, she had regained much of her former strength. Ruth's story of resilience became a rallying cry for the movement, and her story was shared far and wide as an example of what was possible, even in one's later years. Ruth's story wasn't unique. Across the globe, seniors were picking up weights, hitting the gym, and pushing back against the conventional idea that aging meant slowing down. But this shift in mindset wasn't instantaneous. There were still pockets of resistance, some healthcare professionals who didn't fully understand or support the program, older adults who were wary of exercising, and governments that were slow to adapt to the idea of providing infrastructure and funding for senior muscle health. The healthcare system was one of the hardest obstacles to overcome. While many doctors and researchers were excited about the potential of the Muscle Health Initiative, others were skeptical. Some viewed the program as a fad, dismissing it as a short-term trend that would fade away. They argued that the focus should remain on traditional medical treatments and therapies, not on fitness or lifestyle changes. Musk took this challenge head-on. He collaborated with leading researchers to conduct large-scale studies that demonstrated the tangible benefits of strength training for seniors, improved mobility, decreased risk of falls, enhanced cognitive function, and even longer life expectancy. These studies were published in peer-reviewed journals and presented at medical conferences, making it clear that the Muscle Health Program was more than just a wellness trend, it was a scientifically backed approach to aging that could save lives and reduce healthcare costs in the long run. At the same time, Musk worked tirelessly to engage the medical community. He hosted roundtable discussions with doctors, physical therapists, and nutritionists, encouraging them to take a more active role in educating their senior patients about muscle health. Slowly, the medical world began to catch up. It wasn't long before major hospitals and senior care facilities began integrating muscle strengthening routines into their standard care protocols, offering supervised fitness programs alongside traditional treatments. The government was another hurdle. Initially, many politicians were hesitant to support the initiative. They were concerned about the cost of implementing widespread muscle health programs and integrating them into existing healthcare systems. But Musk, ever the strategist, used his vast network of allies in the tech and business world to push for policy changes. He worked closely with lawmakers to draft legislation that would incentivize fitness programs for seniors, provide funding for senior-friendly gyms, and support public health initiatives centered around muscle strength. One breakthrough came when Musk partnered with the American AARP, American Association of Retired Persons, to launch a national campaign called Stronger Together. The campaign aimed to raise awareness about the importance of muscle health and encouraged seniors to take an active role in their well-being. The campaign included free fitness classes, public service announcements, and partnerships with local businesses to provide affordable fitness equipment. The Stronger Together campaign was a massive success, gaining traction in cities across the U.S. and eventually spreading to other countries. The message resonated with millions of people who had once thought that muscle health wasn't a priority. Now, with Musk's guidance and the support of the campaign, they were discovering just how important it was to stay strong, fit, and healthy in their later years. But as the movement grew, so did its challenges. One of the most persistent issues was access. Despite the progress made in urban centers, many rural areas still lacked the resources and infrastructure needed to support seniors in their muscle health journey. In response, Musk began working on innovative solutions to bridge the gap. He partnered with tech companies to develop virtual fitness classes and telemedicine consultations for seniors living in remote areas, ensuring that everyone, regardless of location, had access to the tools and resources they needed to improve their muscle health. The global impact of Musk's initiative was undeniable. As countries around the world began to prioritize muscle health, seniors everywhere started to live better lives. They were stronger, more independent, and more engaged in their communities. Healthcare systems saw reductions in hospital admissions related to falls and fractures, and the costs associated with long-term care began to decline. But Musk wasn't satisfied. He knew that the work was far from finished. The movement needed to continue to evolve, and the challenges that still remained needed to be addressed. He continued to push boundaries, seeking out new innovations in fitness, nutrition, and technology that would further improve the lives of seniors. As the muscle health revolution entered its next phase, it became clear that this wasn't just a program, it was a legacy. The world was changing, and the way we viewed aging was changing with it. What Musk had set in motion was no longer just about fitness or health, it was about transforming the very fabric of society, creating a world where every individual, regardless of age, could live with strength, dignity, and purpose. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough? As the muscle health revolution continued to reshape the global landscape, Musk's vision expanded beyond seniors. He had always been forward-thinking, and as the movement gained momentum, he realized that the key to sustaining the benefits of muscle health for future generations lay in instilling these practices from an early age. The new world of aging wasn't just about prolonging life, it was about living with strength, vitality, and confidence throughout every stage of life. And that started with how we approached our health when we were young. Musk, never one to shy away from bold ideas, began brainstorming a plan to integrate muscle health into the education system. His goal was clear: to create a world where muscle strength wasn't something people only thought about when they reached their later years, but a lifelong focus that would become as ingrained as reading, writing, and math. He envisioned a future where schools prioritized physical education programs that not only focused on fitness but also on muscle development and preservation, preparing children for a lifetime of good health. The first step in this new initiative was the launch of the Strength for Life program, a comprehensive fitness and education curriculum designed for schools across the globe. The program was crafted by experts in physical therapy, nutrition, and child development, and it aimed to teach children the importance of maintaining strong muscles through a combination of fun exercises, healthy eating habits, and mental wellness practices. The Strength for Life program was rolled out initially in select school districts in the United States, where it quickly garnered attention for its innovative approach to health education. Children in grades K-12 were taught the fundamentals of muscle health, with age-appropriate lessons that grew more advanced as students progressed through the system. Younger children learned the basics of balance, flexibility, and coordination through games and activities, while older students began to focus on strength-building exercises and nutrition that supported muscle growth and recovery. One of the core components of the program was a set of muscle health milestones that students could work toward each year. These milestones were designed to help children build strength progressively while having fun along the way. For example, by the end of elementary school, students were expected to be able to perform basic bodyweight exercises like push-ups, squats, and lunges. By the time they reached high school, they were learning more advanced techniques for strength training, including resistance training with weights, yoga, and even martial arts. For Musk, the most exciting aspect of this program was the potential to create a cultural shift that would benefit future generations. He saw the long-term impact this program could have on overall health, less chronic illness, fewer sedentary lifestyles, and a generation that valued strength, resilience, and wellness from the beginning. But while the program began in the United States, it wasn't long before other countries took notice. Health ministers in Canada, the UK, and Australia began to explore how they could adopt similar programs, seeing the potential not only for physical benefits but also for the economic savings that could result from healthier, more active young populations. And as Musk traveled to Europe and Asia to promote his vision, he found that the response was overwhelmingly positive. People from different cultures, backgrounds, and countries all recognized the importance of starting early when it came to preserving muscle health and overall well-being. However, the initiative wasn't without challenges. One of the most significant hurdles Musk faced was convincing traditional educational institutions to make muscle health a central part of their curriculum. Many schools already had established physical education programs, but these often focused on traditional sports like basketball, soccer, and gymnastics, with less emphasis on individualized fitness and strength-building exercises. Some educators were skeptical about adding another layer of complexity to an already crowded curriculum. To overcome this challenge, Musk and his team worked closely with teachers and administrators to adapt the program to fit seamlessly into existing school structures. They provided teachers with easy-to-follow lesson plans, training workshops, and access to resources like videos and exercise equipment that could be used in the classroom. The program was designed to be flexible, so it could work in a variety of school environments, whether in urban or rural areas, public or private institutions, or schools with limited resources. Another challenge was making sure that the program was inclusive and accessible to all children, regardless of physical ability or background. For some students, physical activity could be a daunting experience, especially if they had previously struggled with fitness or had disabilities that limited their mobility. Musk's team worked with disability advocates and child psychologists to ensure that the program was adaptable and offered modifications to support every child's participation. Musk also recognized that muscle health wasn't just about physical strength, it was about mental and emotional well-being too. So, the Strength for Life program included elements of mindfulness, stress management, and emotional intelligence. By integrating these aspects into the curriculum, Musk aimed to create a generation of children who not only understood how to maintain physical strength but also how to handle life's challenges with resilience and a positive mindset. The results were nothing short of impressive. As the Strength for Life program expanded across the United States, reports began to emerge showing that students who participated in the program had improved fitness levels, better academic performance, and lower rates of anxiety and depression. Parents and teachers alike were impressed by the changes they saw in children who were not only becoming stronger but also more confident, more focused, and more compassionate. One standout example was Sarah, a 15-year-old high school student from Dallas, Texas. Sarah had always struggled with self-esteem, particularly because she felt left out during traditional gym classes. She had never been particularly athletic and had been the target of bullying because of her lack of physical skills. But after enrolling in the Strength for Life program, everything changed. She started to enjoy the fitness challenges, seeing improvement in her strength and endurance. Her self-confidence grew, and she soon became a mentor for younger students, teaching them the importance of persistence and self-belief. Before the program, I never thought I could do a push-up or a squat. But now I'm doing them, and it feels amazing. I'm stronger not just on the outside but on the inside too, Sarah shared in a video that was widely shared on social media. The success stories like Sarah's became a powerful tool for Musk's team to use when promoting the program in other parts of the world. They highlighted the personal growth that came from building muscle and strength, as well as the broader societal benefits of having a stronger, more active generation. By the end of the decade, muscle health was no longer just a buzzword, it was a movement that had fundamentally changed the way the world thought about aging and health. Musk's vision had come full circle. What had begun as a mission to help seniors was now transforming the lives of children, ensuring that future generations would grow up with the tools they needed to lead healthier, more vibrant lives. The story of muscle health was no longer just about one man's mission, it was about a global shift in how we approached wellness, one that would last for generations to come. As the Strength for Life program expanded and Musk's vision gained global traction, it became evident that muscle health wasn't just a trend, it was a movement, one that transcended borders, cultures, and generations. While it had started as a mission to enhance the lives of seniors, it had evolved into a worldwide initiative that impacted people of all ages. The ripple effects of the muscle health revolution were being felt across industries, from healthcare to education, fitness, and even technology. The question on everyone's mind was no longer, why should we care about muscle health, but rather, how can we make it a part of everyday life? One of the most significant shifts was in the way healthcare systems around the world began to treat aging. Instead of seeing older adults as inevitable burdens on the system, hospitals, and health organizations began viewing muscle preservation as a crucial aspect of elderly care. Governments, particularly in countries with aging populations such as Japan, Germany, and Italy, recognized the profound impact that muscle health could have on reducing healthcare costs, hospitalizations, and the need for long-term care. Musk's influence had spread far and wide. He had built a global network of healthcare providers, fitness experts, and policymakers who saw the value of keeping people strong and active throughout their lives. By creating partnerships with organizations like the World Health Organization, WHO, he helped put muscle health on the global agenda, ensuring that it would be part of the conversation on aging for decades to come. In Japan, a country known for its aging population, the government had begun to adopt muscle health strategies in public health programs. Health officials launched national campaigns to encourage seniors to engage in regular strength training. Local gyms were incentivized to create senior-friendly programs, and even community centers began offering free muscle health workshops. The results were staggering, falls and fractures among seniors decreased dramatically, and the elderly were more engaged in their communities, leading to a marked improvement in their overall quality of life. Meanwhile, in Europe, governments started investing in public fitness infrastructure aimed at seniors. Outdoor gyms with age-appropriate equipment were installed in parks across Germany, France, and the UK, allowing seniors to engage in strength-building exercises in open, accessible spaces. These gyms became social hubs where older adults could connect with one another while maintaining their physical health. The focus on muscle health in Europe wasn't just about physical strength, it was about fostering a sense of belonging and purpose for older individuals, allowing them to continue to live active, meaningful lives. The movement also gained traction in developing countries. In India and parts of Africa, where healthcare systems often struggled with limited resources, the muscle health revolution was viewed as a way to address a myriad of challenges related to aging populations. Though traditional medicine was deeply rooted in many cultures, there was growing recognition that physical health and strength played a pivotal role in improving overall well-being. In rural areas, community-driven initiatives promoted strength-building exercises, using minimal equipment to create low-cost solutions that could be implemented even in the most remote regions. The next stage of the movement saw an increased focus on technology. With the rise of digital fitness platforms and apps, more and more people were able to access muscle health programs from the comfort of their homes. Virtual fitness coaches, personalized workout plans, and even augmented reality (AR) systems that guided users through exercises in real time became an integral part of the muscle health revolution. Through a combination of artificial intelligence (AI) and biometric tracking, individuals could receive tailored advice on how to improve their muscle strength, monitor their progress, and stay on track with their health goals. Musk's collaboration with tech giants led to the creation of the Muscle Health Hub, an all-in-one digital platform where users of all ages could find muscle health resources, from fitness classes to nutritional guidance and even community support groups. Through the app, seniors were able to connect with one another, share their progress, and access virtual personal trainers who specialized in senior fitness. This accessibility was revolutionary, particularly for those who lived in areas without access to gyms or fitness facilities. In addition, wearable devices that tracked muscle activity and overall health became increasingly popular. These smart devices, such as muscle-strengthening wristbands and smart shoes, allowed users to monitor their strength levels and activity patterns throughout the day. If a person's muscle strength was declining, the device would send an alert, prompting them to engage in exercises designed to counteract muscle loss. The technology provided not only a convenient way to stay on top of health but also served as a proactive tool for preventing muscle atrophy before it became a major concern. By this point, Musk had successfully integrated muscle health into the global conversation, bridging the gap between traditional medical treatments and proactive fitness strategies. The results were already visible in healthcare savings. Countries that had embraced the muscle health movement saw a reduction in the need for expensive medical interventions related to frailty, bone fractures, and cognitive decline, issues often associated with aging. Senior citizens were living longer, more active lives, requiring less medical care, and contributing more to society. The impact was undeniable: healthier people, stronger economies, and a better quality of life for all. In the U.S., Musk's collaboration with the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, led to the creation of a nationwide campaign called Muscles for Life, which urged Americans to take action in maintaining their muscle health from a young age. Schools, workplaces, and community centers were encouraged to adopt muscle health programs, which now became part of the national public health strategy. As a result, more and more companies began offering muscle health incentives, including gym memberships, fitness trackers, and wellness workshops, creating a culture of strength and resilience across the nation. But the most powerful impact was in the lives of everyday people. The muscle health revolution had shifted the way individuals viewed aging, fitness, and well-being. Seniors no longer feared the inevitable decline of their physical abilities. Instead, they embraced the idea of aging with strength and purpose. And, as a result, they were able to live fuller, more enriched lives, contributing to their families, communities, and societies in ways that had once seemed unimaginable. It wasn't just about lifting weights or following workout routines, it was about a complete shift in perspective. Musk had built a world where muscle health wasn't just a physical pursuit, it was a way of life, a path to greater mental clarity, emotional resilience, and a deeper sense of fulfillment. The muscle health revolution was no longer just Musk's vision, it had become the world's vision. And as people all over the globe began to experience the benefits, one thing became clear: the future of aging was bright, strong, and full of possibility. As the muscle health revolution gained momentum, there was no denying its impact. Governments, healthcare systems, and individuals worldwide were embracing the concept of strength training and muscle preservation for all ages. Yet, as with any groundbreaking movement, there were barriers to overcome. Not everyone was ready to jump on board, and some were still deeply skeptical about the benefits of prioritizing muscle health. One of the most significant challenges Musk faced was convincing the medical community to fully embrace muscle health as a cornerstone of aging well. Traditionally, medical care for the elderly had focused more on managing diseases and conditions rather than preventing them. Many doctors, especially those from older generations, were still grounded in the belief that aging automatically came with inevitable physical decline, and that little could be done to stop it. For them, muscle loss was just a natural part of the aging process, something to be accepted rather than actively prevented. Musk knew that to make the muscle health movement sustainable, he had to change the conversation in the medical world. It wasn't enough to promote strength training among the general public, he needed to convince doctors, researchers, and policymakers that this was a legitimate, science-backed approach to aging. His first step in breaking down these barriers was to host a global summit focused on muscle health and aging. The event, held in Silicon Valley, attracted thought leaders from around the world, scientists, doctors, and fitness experts, all gathered to discuss the role of muscle strength in aging and disease prevention. Musk invited leading geriatricians, physiologists, and nutritionists to present their latest research on the links between muscle health, longevity, and overall well-being. The summit was an eye-opener for many in the medical community. Researchers presented compelling evidence showing that maintaining muscle mass through strength training could significantly reduce the risks of chronic diseases such as heart disease, diabetes, osteoporosis, and even cognitive decline. Additionally, they highlighted studies showing that seniors who engaged in regular muscle strengthening activities had a higher quality of life, better mobility, and a lower risk of falls and fractures. For many attending the summit, it was the first time they had seen such a compelling case for muscle health. While some doctors had always recommended exercise for seniors, the emphasis had typically been on aerobic activities like walking or swimming, activities that were considered gentler on the body. The idea that resistance training, including weightlifting and bodyweight exercises, could play such a pivotal role in the aging process was still a novel concept for many in the medical field. Musk, ever the visionary, didn't shy away from this skepticism. Instead, he welcomed it, knowing that changing entrenched views would take time. He used the summit as a platform to encourage collaboration between the fitness industry and the medical community, urging both sides to work together in designing research-backed solutions for the aging population. He also proposed the creation of a muscle health task force, made up of doctors, fitness experts, nutritionists, and policy leaders, whose mission would be to advocate for muscle health at the highest levels of government and healthcare. The task force would conduct rigorous research on the benefits of muscle maintenance, develop educational materials for medical professionals, and push for public health campaigns to promote strength-building exercises among seniors. The push for medical validation wasn't easy, but slowly, change began to take root. The task force published several groundbreaking studies that demonstrated the direct link between muscle preservation and improved health outcomes in older adults. They conducted pilot programs in hospitals where patients were taught strength training exercises as part of their rehabilitation process. The results were staggering. Seniors who participated in these programs recovered faster, experienced less pain, and were able to regain their independence more quickly than those who followed traditional rehabilitation methods. One of the task force's key successes was the inclusion of muscle health education in medical school curricula. Future doctors were now being trained to recognize the importance of muscle health, not only in the elderly but across the entire lifespan. This shift was crucial in making muscle preservation a standard part of medical practice rather than a fringe topic. Over time, more and more healthcare providers began recommending strength training as part of a holistic approach to aging, and insurance companies began to recognize its value by offering coverage for fitness programs aimed at preserving muscle health. The shift in the medical community was significant, but there was still resistance from other sectors of society. One area where Musk faced strong pushback was in the fitness industry itself. While many fitness professionals had wholeheartedly embraced the idea of muscle health, there were others who saw it as a threat to the traditional gym model. Some gym owners and personal trainers felt that Musk's push for accessible, senior-friendly workouts might undermine the more hardcore fitness culture that had dominated the industry for decades. To address these concerns, Musk initiated a series of partnerships with gym chains, fitness influencers, and wellness brands, positioning muscle health as something that could complement, rather than replace, existing fitness practices. He emphasized that the goal wasn't to erase high-intensity training but to broaden the scope of fitness to include everyone, regardless of age or ability. His message was clear: muscle health wasn't just for bodybuilders or athletes, it was for anyone who wanted to lead a longer, healthier life. By aligning with influential fitness figures, Musk was able to create a narrative that made muscle health something aspirational, not just something for older adults. He enlisted top trainers to help create workout programs designed specifically for different age groups, from children to seniors, that incorporated fun, engaging exercises alongside strength-building movements. These programs were promoted through social media platforms and fitness apps, making them easily accessible to millions of people around the world. As these programs gained traction, Musk's message about muscle health began to resonate with even younger generations. In a world where social media influencers had immense power over the public's perception of health and wellness, Musk's ability to partner with these influencers allowed him to shift the conversation about aging and fitness. Rather than focusing on appearances or weight loss, the emphasis shifted to strength, resilience, and longevity. The idea of aging gracefully wasn't just about avoiding wrinkles or gray hair, it was about staying strong, vibrant, and capable throughout the years. Despite the initial resistance, Musk's persistence paid off. With each passing year, more and more individuals embraced the concept of muscle health. It wasn't just about lifting weights, it was about building a lifestyle focused on strength, vitality, and well-being, no matter your age. The message was clear: muscle health wasn't just an optional pursuit, it was a necessity for living a fulfilling life at any stage. The barriers that once seemed insurmountable began to crumble. And as they did, a new era of aging and health was born, one that embraced strength as the foundation for a longer, healthier, and more vibrant life. As the muscle health movement gained global traction, the need for scientific validation became increasingly crucial. While the benefits of maintaining muscle mass had been evident in the stories of everyday people and in the success stories shared by Musk, the medical community and skeptics still demanded solid, evidence-based research. For the movement to thrive and for muscle health to be fully integrated into mainstream healthcare, it needed the backing of cutting-edge science. Musk knew that the road ahead would be shaped by scientific discoveries. While the initial success of his program was built on anecdotes, real-world results, and passionate advocacy, the next phase would require hard data. Musk was committed to finding the evidence that would cement muscle health as a universally recognized pillar of aging well. To achieve this, Musk launched a multi-phase research initiative in partnership with some of the world's leading universities and medical institutions. His goal was simple: to generate robust, peer-reviewed studies that would not only demonstrate the health benefits of muscle preservation but also explain the underlying mechanisms at play. He started with a large-scale longitudinal study focused on seniors over the age of 65, the age group most vulnerable to muscle loss and its associated risks. The study aimed to track participants' muscle health over 5 years, examining the impact of strength training on outcomes such as cognitive function, mobility, fall risk, and overall life satisfaction. Musk provided generous funding for the research and made sure that the study was as inclusive as possible, enrolling participants from diverse socioeconomic backgrounds, ethnicities, and geographical regions. The study's methodology was rigorous. Participants were divided into 2 groups. One group engaged in a structured muscle strengthening regimen, while the other continued with their normal daily routines without any added exercise. Over the course of the study, the researchers measured various metrics, including muscle mass, strength, endurance, and biomarkers of overall health. They also monitored cognitive function through standardized testing, assessed mobility using gait speed and balance tests, and kept track of hospitalizations, injuries, and medication usage. The findings of the study were nothing short of groundbreaking. After just 1 year of consistent strength training, the intervention group showed a remarkable increase in muscle mass, and even more importantly, a significant reduction in the incidence of falls and fractures. Participants in the strength training group reported higher levels of energy, improved mood, and better quality of life. Furthermore, cognitive function tests revealed that those who engaged in regular muscle-building exercises showed a slower rate of cognitive decline compared to the control group. But it wasn't just about the physical improvements. The study also revealed deeper connections between muscle health and other aspects of aging. The researchers found that maintaining muscle mass could help regulate glucose metabolism, improve cardiovascular health, and even enhance immune function. These findings aligned with other studies that had previously suggested that muscle tissue plays a crucial role in the body's ability to repair itself and fend off disease. One of the most surprising findings from the study was the discovery of a powerful link between muscle health and mental well-being. The participants who engaged in strength training reported feeling more confident and empowered. They experienced less anxiety, depression, and social isolation. Strength training had not only made them physically stronger but had also given them a renewed sense of purpose, which in turn improved their mental health. This was a revelation that further cemented the importance of muscle health, not just as a physical necessity but as a mental and emotional lifeline for seniors. The research team also identified specific nutrients that played a critical role in supporting muscle health, such as protein, vitamin D, and omega-3 fatty acids. These nutrients, often lacking in the diets of seniors, were found to be essential for muscle protein synthesis and recovery. The study reinforced the message that proper nutrition was just as important as exercise in preserving muscle mass, prompting Musk to collaborate with nutrition experts to design supplements and meal plans specifically tailored to the needs of seniors. These findings were published in top-tier medical journals, sparking widespread attention in both the scientific and healthcare communities. The studies became a cornerstone of the muscle health movement, providing irrefutable evidence that strength training could drastically improve the quality of life for older adults, reduce healthcare costs, and help prevent chronic diseases. Musk's team worked tirelessly to disseminate this research to the public, healthcare providers, and policymakers, further amplifying the message that muscle health was a key factor in aging successfully. At the same time, the research initiative was expanding into new areas. Musk was determined to uncover more about the relationship between muscle health and aging in other populations. The team began conducting studies on middle-aged adults, looking into how early intervention with strength training could delay the onset of age-related muscle loss and its associated risks. They also focused on younger people, exploring how muscle health impacted everything from bone density to mental sharpness and overall resilience. Musk's vision was to create a world where the concept of muscle health was integrated into every stage of life. As the research continued to unfold, it became increasingly clear that strength training wasn't just a solution for older adults, it was a lifelong pursuit, one that could improve health, vitality, and longevity from childhood to old age. One of the most exciting new areas of research was the impact of muscle health on longevity. While there was already a growing body of evidence suggesting that preserving muscle mass could extend life expectancy, Musk pushed for more extensive studies in this area. He collaborated with longevity researchers to examine how maintaining strong muscles could potentially delay the onset of age-related diseases such as Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and osteoporosis, all of which became more prevalent as people aged. As the research team continued their work, the results began to revolutionize the field of geriatric care. No longer was aging seen as a slow, inevitable decline into frailty. Instead, muscle health became recognized as a key factor in preventing and mitigating many of the diseases associated with old age. The scientific community was beginning to take notice. Researchers, clinicians, and even pharmaceutical companies started looking for ways to integrate muscle health into their practices. Some began working on muscle-building drugs and supplements that could mimic the effects of exercise for those who were unable to engage in physical activity. Others worked to develop new therapies that targeted muscle preservation, combining the latest scientific breakthroughs with Musk's vision of empowering individuals to take charge of their health. The impact of Musk's research initiative was felt far beyond the confines of academia. It influenced public policy, inspired changes in healthcare practices, and prompted a new wave of innovation in both the fitness and healthcare industries. The undeniable evidence that muscle health could transform the aging process was a game-changer, one that had the potential to reshape how society approached aging for generations to come. Musk had set out to prove that muscle health was not just an individual pursuit but a critical piece of the puzzle in building a healthier, more vibrant world. And with every new study, he was one step closer to making that vision a reality. The momentum was undeniable. What had started as a grassroots initiative to improve the muscle health of seniors was quickly turning into a global movement. Musk's relentless drive, backed by cutting-edge science, public enthusiasm, and real-world success stories, was shaking the foundations of healthcare systems and fitness industries worldwide. But as the movement grew, Musk knew it was time to shift gears. It wasn't enough to simply focus on the people already on board. The next challenge was spreading the message to every corner of the globe and reaching those who had yet to fully understand the importance of muscle health. Musk, always the visionary, turned to one of his greatest strengths, technology. He recognized that to reach a global audience, the message had to be accessible, engaging, and adaptable. The Internet, with its vast network of connected individuals, would be the perfect vehicle to accelerate the movement. His first move was to launch a powerful global campaign that would showcase muscle health as the centerpiece of aging well. The campaign was designed to reach audiences of all ages, with a particular focus on the elderly, who stood to benefit the most from the research-backed solutions Musk's movement advocated. He partnered with a team of digital marketers, filmmakers, and influencers to create a series of short, powerful videos that would capture the transformative power of muscle health. These videos featured real people, everyday seniors who had seen remarkable improvements in their quality of life by incorporating strength training into their routines. One of the campaign's most compelling videos featured Sarah, an 82-year-old grandmother who had struggled with arthritis for years. Sarah had long resigned herself to the idea that she would never be able to do the things she once loved, such as gardening and hiking, due to chronic pain and weakness in her muscles. After joining a local muscle health program, however, Sarah found that with just a few months of targeted strength training, her arthritis pain decreased significantly, her energy levels increased, and her confidence soared. "I feel like I've got my life back," she said in the video, her face radiating with newfound vitality. Another video told the story of Tom, a retired Navy veteran who had lost his wife several years prior. He had struggled with depression and social isolation, feeling disconnected from the world. But after signing up for a community-based strength program, Tom found not only physical strength but also emotional strength. He forged new friendships, regained his sense of purpose, and discovered a love for fitness that had been dormant for decades. "Muscle health gave me a reason to get up every morning," he said, his voice filled with emotion. These videos, and many others, were designed to inspire and connect with viewers on a deeply emotional level. They didn't just show people lifting weights or doing push-ups, they told the stories of individuals who had reclaimed their lives through muscle health, proving that it was never too late to make a change. The videos went viral almost immediately. Within weeks, millions of views had flooded in from across the globe. Social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok became essential tools for spreading the message. Influencers, fitness enthusiasts, and even healthcare providers began sharing the campaign's videos, reaching an audience that Musk could never have imagined on his own. The narrative of muscle health spread like wildfire, and soon it wasn't just seniors who were taking notice, it was people of all ages. Musk knew that the power of the campaign lay not just in the videos but in the conversations it sparked. To keep the momentum going, he launched a global challenge called Strength for Life. The challenge encouraged people of all ages to share their own muscle health journeys, whether it was a 60-year-old woman hitting a personal record in a deadlift or a 25-year-old showing off a new exercise routine. People from all over the world posted their stories using the hashtag #StrengthForLife, creating a massive online community dedicated to fitness, health, and aging well. The hashtag #StrengthForLife challenge wasn't just a social media trend, it was a cultural shift. People began to view strength training as an essential part of living a full, healthy life, not just something to do when they wanted to look better or lose weight. Strength was now seen as a critical factor in longevity, well-being, and vitality. The idea that muscle health could transcend age and physical appearance resonated deeply with people, especially as they realized how it could empower them to live longer, more fulfilling lives. Healthcare systems around the world began to take notice of the campaign's success. In countries like the United States, Canada, the United Kingdom, and Australia, healthcare providers started incorporating muscle health programs into their standard care routines. Hospitals, rehabilitation centers, and senior living communities began offering strength training classes, and insurance companies began to include muscle health programs in their coverage plans. In some regions, government-funded initiatives were launched to encourage seniors to engage in muscle-strengthening exercises as part of their routine health maintenance. One of the most significant victories for Musk and his team came when the World Health Organization, WHO, officially recognized muscle health as a key component of healthy aging. In a landmark report, the WHO recommended that muscle-strengthening activities should be included in the physical activity guidelines for all adults, especially those over the age of 60. The recommendation was based on the overwhelming evidence that muscle preservation was vital not only for preventing frailty but also for reducing the risk of numerous chronic diseases, including diabetes, hypertension, and cardiovascular disease. With the WHO's endorsement, the global movement reached new heights. Musk's team worked with international organizations, government agencies, and local communities to implement muscle health programs in schools, workplaces, and senior living facilities. The goal was to create an ecosystem where muscle health wasn't just a personal goal but a community-wide initiative, with support structures and resources available to help people of all ages maintain their muscle mass and strength throughout their lives. But Musk wasn't satisfied with just raising awareness and making it mainstream. He had a bigger vision. The next step was to create sustainable systems that would ensure muscle health was prioritized in every aspect of society. He began lobbying for legislation that would mandate muscle-strengthening exercises in public health initiatives, including subsidies for gym memberships, fitness programs, and physical therapy services. He even started a non-profit organization aimed at providing free fitness programs and educational resources to low-income communities, ensuring that everyone, regardless of their background, had access to muscle health benefits. Musk's commitment to a worldwide muscle health revolution didn't stop at technology, media, or policy changes. He was determined to ensure that muscle health became a natural part of people's everyday lives, a practice that could be integrated seamlessly into their routines, whether they were at home, at the gym, or in a healthcare setting. The key to success, Musk believed, was building a culture where muscle health was seen as a fundamental part of living a long, healthy life, where every person, regardless of age, would feel empowered to embrace strength as their path to a better future. As the movement grew, the world began to change. It wasn't just about lifting weights or hitting personal fitness goals anymore. It was about reclaiming vitality, empowering individuals, and changing the narrative about aging. And with that, Musk knew that the revolution had only just begun. No revolution comes without its challenges, and Musk knew this better than anyone. While the muscle health movement was gaining unprecedented momentum, it was not without its detractors. Change, especially on a global scale, always faces resistance, and Musk's initiative was no exception. The growing influence of the movement began to stir up a variety of objections, from entrenched industries, skeptical healthcare professionals, and even the media. One of the first hurdles Musk encountered was the resistance from traditional healthcare providers. While many doctors and healthcare practitioners had embraced the idea of muscle health, others were more cautious. Some questioned whether the muscle-building protocols Musk advocated, especially for older adults, were truly safe. They pointed out the risks of injury that could come from lifting weights, particularly for those with underlying health conditions. Others remained skeptical about the scientific backing of the muscle health movement, dismissing it as a trend rather than a scientifically grounded solution. Musk understood their concerns but also knew that dismissing muscle health would be a huge mistake. He brought together a coalition of doctors, researchers, and physiotherapists to directly address these concerns. They created detailed guidelines for senior fitness, which outlined safe and effective exercises that could be performed by individuals of all ages, including those with medical conditions such as osteoporosis, arthritis, or heart disease. Musk's team also worked on collaborations with renowned medical institutions to develop specific training programs that were tailored to the needs of the elderly, ensuring that everyone could benefit without compromising their health. He went further by launching a public relations campaign that involved medical experts and celebrities who had embraced the benefits of muscle health. The goal was not just to educate the public but to shift the narrative around strength training for older adults. By featuring respected figures such as Dr. Sanjay Gupta, a prominent neurosurgeon, and actors like Morgan Freeman, who had experienced firsthand the transformative effects of muscle health, Musk helped to change the perception that strength training was only for the young or the fit. But the resistance didn't end there. As the movement gained popularity, some of the biggest players in the fitness industry began to feel threatened. Companies that had long dominated the market with cardio-based programs, diets, and weight loss supplements began pushing back against the muscle health narrative. Their profits were heavily tied to selling the idea that weight loss and cardio were the only ways to achieve a healthy body, while strength training, especially for seniors, was largely ignored or downplayed. Fitness influencers who had built careers on promoting quick fixes and fat-burning routines began to criticize the muscle health movement as an overly slow, impractical approach to aging. They argued that while strength training might be beneficial, it was not the only solution. They promoted high-intensity workouts, trendy diets, and supplements that promised immediate results, claiming that Musk's focus on muscle preservation was unnecessary and overly complicated. Musk responded by challenging the narrative head-on. He created a video series featuring experts who explained the long-term health benefits of muscle maintenance, comparing them to the unsustainable promises made by other fitness programs. He emphasized that muscle health wasn't about looking good today, it was about feeling good tomorrow and living a longer, more independent life. Musk's team also worked with fitness brands to introduce hybrid programs that incorporated both cardio and strength training, showing the world that the two could coexist, each enhancing the other. But the most significant pushback came from the healthcare industry's vested interests. Pharmaceutical companies, who made billions from medications aimed at treating age-related diseases like osteoporosis, arthritis, and diabetes, viewed Musk's movement as a threat. Strength training, proper nutrition, and lifestyle changes offered a non-pharmaceutical alternative to managing many chronic diseases. As a result, some pharmaceutical companies worked to downplay the effectiveness of muscle health in managing these conditions, using their influence in media outlets and healthcare circles to keep their products front and center. This was Musk's biggest battle. He knew that the pharmaceutical industry had a massive hold on public perception, particularly when it came to aging and disease management. But Musk also understood the importance of public trust. He believed that if he could continue to provide solid evidence through research, patient testimonials, and expert endorsements, he could overcome the pharmaceutical lobby's sway. Musk responded by funding independent studies that would provide an unbiased look at the benefits of muscle health. He made sure that the studies were peer-reviewed and published in top-tier medical journals, putting pressure on the pharmaceutical companies to acknowledge the evidence. He also worked with grassroots organizations to raise awareness of the dangers of over-reliance on medication and the importance of preventative care through exercise and nutrition. Slowly but surely, Musk was beginning to win the hearts and minds of people who had once been swayed by Big Pharma's advertising dollars. Despite the opposition, the muscle health movement continued to grow. The research backed by Musk and his team demonstrated time and again that preserving muscle mass wasn't just a luxury, it was a necessity. Governments, too, began to see the long-term benefits of investing in muscle health initiatives. Countries with aging populations, such as Japan and several European nations, started integrating strength training into their national health programs, aiming to reduce healthcare costs by preventing muscle-related diseases and disabilities before they could become chronic. Musk didn't let the resistance deter him. Instead, he doubled down on his efforts. He continued to push forward with his vision, expanding his campaign to more regions, partnering with local influencers, and providing financial support to initiatives that promoted muscle health. His team held international conferences where experts from various fields, medicine, fitness, nutrition, and mental health, came together to discuss the transformative power of muscle health and how it could be applied to different cultures and societies. Perhaps the most significant shift occurred when Musk began to expand his focus beyond just physical health. He realized that the true power of muscle health went beyond the muscles themselves, it had the potential to transform how society viewed aging as a whole. No longer was aging seen as an inevitable decline into frailty and dependence, instead, muscle health began to represent empowerment, resilience, and self-determination. In the face of resistance, Musk had proven something fundamental. True change wasn't always about fighting the old, it was about creating something so powerful, so transformative, that it couldn't be ignored. And with every challenge, he moved closer to achieving his ultimate goal, a world where muscle health was celebrated, integrated into every aspect of life, and regarded as essential to aging with dignity and strength. The global muscle health movement, which began as a niche campaign focused on seniors, had evolved into a force capable of reshaping how people viewed aging, health, and wellness. It wasn't just a matter of people lifting weights or focusing on protein intake, it was about changing the narrative around what it meant to age with vitality and independence. Musk had always known that the power of his movement lay in its potential to create a ripple effect that would touch every aspect of life, from healthcare and fitness industries to society's perception of aging. But as the movement grew, Musk saw firsthand how profound the changes were for individuals all around the world. The ripple effect was evident not only in major metropolitan cities but also in rural communities where access to healthcare, fitness resources, and information about aging well had been limited. Musk's team, along with local health organizations, began launching pilot programs that brought the principles of muscle health to underserved areas. These programs didn't just focus on physical strength, they focused on community empowerment, creating support networks that encouraged both physical and emotional well-being. For the first time, people in remote villages were able to access structured fitness programs and nutritional advice tailored to their needs. In the small town of Verdant Hills, an initiative supported by Musk's nonprofit organization helped to bring strength training into local senior centers. For many elderly residents, it was the first time they had ever participated in any kind of physical exercise, much less a program designed to improve muscle health. People like Rose, an 81-year-old woman who had spent most of her life working in a small grocery store and raising her family, found herself surrounded by others who were equally determined to reclaim their independence. Rose's story was one of countless others. After just a few months of participating in the program, her back pain, which had been a constant companion for years, significantly decreased. She was able to stand up straighter, walk longer distances, and even take her beloved morning walks again, something she had feared she would never do again. For her, the improvement wasn't just physical. Rose said that joining the program had reignited her sense of purpose. "I feel like I'm living again," she said, her eyes bright with hope. The sense of accomplishment she gained from gaining strength not only improved her physical health but her emotional well-being as well. She became more engaged with her community, making new friends and sharing her story with others who were skeptical about starting the program. Her transformation inspired others in Verdant Hills to join, creating a domino effect that encouraged even more elderly individuals to reclaim their lives through strength. But the ripple effect wasn't confined to small towns or rural areas. Even in large urban centers, the movement had begun to revolutionize how seniors approached their own aging processes. In New York City, Musk's team partnered with several community-based organizations to launch muscle health workshops aimed at raising awareness among senior citizens living in subsidized housing. These workshops taught practical techniques for strengthening muscles, as well as the importance of maintaining a balanced diet rich in protein and essential nutrients. One of the most notable success stories came from Charles, a former attorney in his late 70s who had always thought of himself as physically capable but had never truly focused on his muscle health. After attending a series of workshops in one of the city's low-income senior housing complexes, Charles became an outspoken advocate for the importance of muscle health in aging. His story, of a man who had lived most of his life thinking that aging meant inevitable decline, resonated with others who had similar misconceptions. He explained how his daily walks, which had once been a painful task, had become a joyful experience again after several months of following the muscle health principles. The new strength he gained not only allowed him to walk without pain but also gave him the confidence to re-engage with his passion for public speaking, which had been dormant for years. Charles's enthusiasm for the program led him to become one of the movement's loudest voices, urging others to take their health seriously, regardless of their age. His transformation became a symbol of how muscle health wasn't just for the already fit, it was for everyone who wanted to maintain their independence and live a fuller, longer life. These stories, from the quiet corners of small towns to the bustling streets of New York City, painted a picture of what was possible when individuals were empowered with the right tools, support, and knowledge. And it wasn't just seniors who benefited. As more people embraced muscle health as a core component of their wellness routines, the benefits extended to younger generations as well. Parents who were inspired by the success stories of their older relatives began to incorporate strength training into their own daily lives, seeing it as an investment in their future. In one particularly inspiring case, Mia, a 32-year-old working mother of two, had struggled with back pain and low energy for years. After watching several of the viral videos featuring seniors who had turned their lives around, she decided to take action. If they can do it, why can't I? Mia thought to herself. She signed up for a local gym and joined a muscle health class designed for beginners, specifically tailored to parents who wanted to build strength and energy to keep up with their children. Mia's transformation was nothing short of remarkable. Within just a few months of consistent strength training, her back pain vanished, her energy levels skyrocketed, and she felt more capable of handling the demands of both work and motherhood. She began to see her body not as something that was failing her but as a powerful vessel that could help her achieve her goals. Inspired by her progress, she shared her story online, and her post quickly went viral among other parents, especially those in their 30s and 40s, who were struggling with similar issues. Mia's story had an undeniable impact. It was clear that the ripple effect Musk had envisioned was no longer just confined to seniors, it was becoming a movement that crossed generational boundaries. As muscle health became increasingly recognized as a vital aspect of overall wellness, it started to permeate every corner of society. And then, something unexpected happened. Major health organizations, initially skeptical of the muscle health movement, began to adapt their own policies. The American Heart Association, AHA, known for its emphasis on cardiovascular health, released a landmark statement recommending that strength training be included in all adults' weekly physical activity plans. Other organizations, such as the National Institute on Aging, began partnering with Musk's team to develop educational resources aimed at helping people of all ages maintain muscle mass as they aged. Musk, whose leadership had been instrumental in propelling this movement, found himself at the forefront of an evolving health paradigm. His vision of a world where muscle health was seen as essential to aging gracefully and living fully was becoming a reality. The benefits were clear: stronger muscles meant healthier bones, improved mobility, and a reduced risk of chronic diseases. But perhaps the greatest benefit of all was the newfound sense of empowerment it gave individuals, whether young or old, who took control of their health and their lives. The ripple effect that Musk had ignited had spread far beyond his expectations. It wasn't just about the science anymore. It was about changing lives, fostering hope, and encouraging a society where aging was seen not as a burden but as an opportunity for growth, strength, and independence. As the muscle health movement spread around the globe, it began to gain momentum in ways no one had anticipated. What started as a grassroots effort aimed at improving the lives of seniors had blossomed into a worldwide revolution, reshaping the entire way we think about aging and physical well-being. People from all walks of life, regardless of their geographic location or socioeconomic status, were now embracing the idea that muscle health wasn't just for the elderly, it was a foundational element of overall wellness for people of all ages. This global shift wasn't just a cultural change, it was supported by data. Researchers around the world began to study the far-reaching effects of the Muscle Health Initiative, and the results were undeniable. Countries with aging populations, particularly in Europe and Asia, saw significant decreases in the rates of disability among seniors. By focusing on preserving muscle mass through regular strength training and nutrition, these nations were able to extend the active, independent years of their citizens. The impact wasn't just measured in physical health, it was seen in mental health improvements, reduced healthcare costs, and higher levels of community engagement. One of the most significant shifts occurred in Japan, where an aging population had long been a cause for concern. In a country where nearly 30% of the population was over the age of 65, the cost of healthcare had reached unsustainable levels, and hospitals were overwhelmed with patients suffering from age-related conditions. However, after Musk's muscle health movement took root in Japan, the government and local health organizations began to push for widespread changes. They launched nationwide fitness programs specifically tailored to older adults, encouraging seniors to participate in weight-bearing exercises that improved bone density and overall strength. This initiative was paired with educational campaigns that focused on the importance of nutrition for maintaining muscle mass, including emphasizing protein-rich foods. The results were remarkable. Within a few years, Japan reported a significant reduction in hospital admissions related to falls and fractures among seniors. Furthermore, the elderly who had adopted muscle health practices were living longer, healthier, and more independent lives. Elderly citizens who had once been confined to nursing homes or assisted living facilities were now thriving at home, engaging in their communities and participating in recreational activities that were once unthinkable. The message was clear: investing in muscle health was the key to aging with dignity and vitality. The impact of the movement was equally profound in Europe, where countries such as Germany and Sweden embraced the muscle health initiative. Sweden, known for its strong emphasis on health and wellness, took the idea of muscle preservation even further by incorporating strength training as part of its national health curriculum. In collaboration with local gyms, health organizations, and educational institutions, Sweden created public health initiatives that focused on integrating muscle health into everyday life. These initiatives were particularly successful in reducing the risk of chronic diseases, such as osteoporosis, heart disease, and diabetes, which were often exacerbated by a sedentary lifestyle. By promoting strength training, Sweden saw a reduction in healthcare costs, as fewer people required medication or long-term care for these conditions. The muscle health movement became so ingrained in Swedish culture that it was not only seen as a way to combat aging but as a standard of living, something that everyone could embrace, regardless of age or ability. In the United States, the muscle health movement reached its apex. Cities like San Francisco, Boston, and Chicago became hubs for muscle health education, where seniors participated in community fitness programs and diet workshops designed specifically for their needs. However, it wasn't just the older population that was getting involved. Younger people, too, were starting to realize that by investing in their muscle health early on, they could avoid the struggles of aging later. In fact, a new generation of health-conscious individuals began to view strength training not as a grueling, old-school exercise but as an essential part of living an active, vibrant life. Musk's message of muscle health had successfully permeated into the mainstream. No longer were people simply focused on losing weight or fitting into a certain size. Muscle health became synonymous with longevity and quality of life. Strength training was viewed not as a luxury or a fad but as a key element of a healthy lifestyle. And the narrative was beginning to change in industries like fitness and wellness, as more trainers, fitness influencers, and health professionals recognized the importance of muscle maintenance for people of all ages. Perhaps one of the most unexpected results of this global transformation was the shift in the way people viewed retirement. Traditionally, retirement had been seen as a time to slow down and disengage from active pursuits. However, with the rise of muscle health and the understanding that strength was key to living independently, many people began to redefine retirement. Rather than settling into sedentary lifestyles, retirees embraced new opportunities to stay physically active. Some took up hobbies like hiking, kayaking, or dance, activities that were once considered reserved for younger generations. In South America, countries like Brazil and Argentina saw similar results. The movement spread quickly through local fitness centers, where communities gathered to learn about the importance of maintaining muscle mass and staying strong as they aged. Local gyms began offering specialized classes designed for seniors, focusing on exercises that improved balance, coordination, and flexibility, in addition to building muscle strength. This holistic approach to fitness was so well received that gyms became popular community hubs, not only for exercise but for social engagement. As the movement gained global traction, Musk's vision became clearer. It wasn't just about changing individual lives, it was about transforming the way society approached aging as a whole. Musk, who had always seen himself as an agent of change, had set in motion a revolution that was improving the quality of life for millions of people, from the young to the elderly, in every corner of the world. This transformation wasn't just about physical health, it was about creating a culture that valued resilience, independence, and longevity. By prioritizing muscle health, individuals were no longer succumbing to the inevitabilities of aging. They were becoming empowered, reimagining their futures with the knowledge that they could maintain their strength and vitality no matter how old they were. Musk's journey, from his initial skepticism to his eventual embrace of muscle health, had evolved into something much larger than he had ever expected. It had become a movement that transcended borders, generations, and industries. A movement that, at its heart, was about giving people the tools they needed to live healthier, longer, and more meaningful lives. And as the global transformation continued to unfold, one thing was clear: the world was finally waking up to the fact that muscle health was the key to aging with strength, dignity, and independence. As the muscle health movement surged to new heights, transforming lives and redefining the way people viewed aging, Elon Musk began to realize something profound. It wasn't just about revolutionizing the health industry or creating new fitness regimens, it was about leaving behind a legacy that transcended any individual or technology. The lasting impact of the movement wasn't just measured by the millions of people who had benefited from the muscle health principles, it was in the way it had sparked a cultural shift. It was about building a future where aging was no longer seen as a decline, but rather as a chapter filled with opportunities for growth, strength, and vitality. But for Musk, the work wasn't done yet. He saw a future where this movement would evolve and be integrated into new technologies and advancements, one where AI, robotics, and virtual reality would play roles in revolutionizing healthcare and fitness for seniors. He believed that the next frontier of muscle health wasn't just in gyms and senior centers, but in the realm of personalized, tech-driven solutions that could bring the benefits of strength training and muscle preservation to every person, no matter where they lived or their ability to access traditional fitness resources. One of the most groundbreaking ideas that Musk began exploring was the concept of integrating muscle health into wearable technology. Drawing from his experience with Tesla's cutting-edge technology and SpaceX's innovations, Musk saw the potential to create wearable devices that would monitor muscle health in real time, providing users with data about their muscle mass, strength, and overall physical condition. These devices would also offer personalized recommendations for strength training exercises and dietary adjustments, powered by AI algorithms that adapted to a person's individual needs. Musk partnered with top engineers, scientists, and medical experts to develop a prototype of what he called the Strength X Band, a wristband that tracked muscle health through sensors that monitored movement patterns, muscle fatigue, and even nutrient levels in the body. The Strength X Band wasn't just a fitness tracker, it was a tool designed to help people of all ages, particularly seniors, improve and maintain their muscle health in a way that was as personalized and efficient as possible. The band would sync with a smartphone app that offered customized workout plans and meal suggestions based on real-time data from the wearer's body. If the app detected that the wearer wasn't getting enough protein or that their muscle mass was decreasing, it would send them notifications to encourage dietary changes or suggest specific exercises. This technology could empower individuals to take charge of their muscle health without needing a personal trainer or healthcare provider to monitor them constantly. The potential impact of this wearable technology was immense. It could change the way healthcare professionals approached muscle health, allowing them to provide more tailored care to seniors, especially those who lived alone or in remote areas. With the Strength X Band, the gap between physical health and medical intervention could be bridged, allowing seniors to take proactive steps to maintain their independence and vitality. However, the development of such technology wasn't without its challenges. Critics questioned whether wearable devices could truly change people's habits, especially in an age where many seniors already faced barriers to technology adoption. Musk knew that the key to success would lie in the integration of this technology into existing healthcare systems and fitness programs. He and his team worked tirelessly to ensure that the Strength X Band was not only accessible but also user-friendly, incorporating features that made it easy for seniors to understand and engage with. Meanwhile, the movement continued to grow on a global scale. In countries like India and parts of Africa, where healthcare systems were less developed, Musk's muscle health philosophy was becoming a symbol of hope. In India, where a rapidly aging population faced the dual challenges of increasing healthcare costs and a lack of access to proper nutrition and fitness resources, grassroots efforts were underway to introduce muscle health programs in local communities. Community-based organizations were working to provide accessible exercise programs that emphasize strength training and nutrition to help seniors stay strong and independent. In Africa, the initiative took a different form. Health professionals worked with local governments to implement fitness programs tailored to the unique challenges faced by elderly populations in rural areas. The programs not only focused on building muscle strength but also included educational efforts to teach people about the importance of protein-rich diets and how to integrate muscle health into daily life. Despite the challenges posed by poverty and limited resources, the movement found ways to adapt, showing that the benefits of muscle health were universal, regardless of one's location or economic background. One of the most heartwarming stories came from a small village in Nigeria, where a local woman named Amina took it upon herself to teach her fellow seniors about muscle health. Amina, who had spent most of her life working on the farm, was in her mid-70s but still possessed an incredible amount of physical strength. After learning about the muscle health movement through an online seminar, Amina became passionate about helping others in her village. With no formal training but a deep understanding of the importance of maintaining strength, she organized group exercises, shared tips on nutrition, and encouraged her neighbors to incorporate strength training into their daily routines. Amina's efforts quickly caught the attention of local health organizations, who helped her expand her initiative. Her village became a model for how grassroots efforts could spark change, showing that even with limited resources, people could make a huge difference in their own communities. Amina's story spread throughout Africa, and soon, the muscle health message reached even more remote regions of the continent. As the movement continued to spread, Musk began to see a world that had shifted from a model of aging defined by frailty and decline to one that emphasized strength, independence, and vitality at every age. The impact was clear: muscle health was no longer just a trend or a niche concern for seniors, it was a critical part of the global conversation on health, wellness, and longevity. But even as the movement reached new heights, Musk never lost sight of its core purpose: to empower individuals to live their best lives, no matter their age. The ripple effects of this movement were undeniable, as people across the globe began to embrace the idea that muscle health wasn't just about looking strong, it was about living strong, and living well, for as long as possible. For Musk, the legacy of the muscle health movement was clear: it wasn't just about technology, fitness, or even innovation. It was about creating a world where aging was no longer a source of fear, but a stage of life that could be filled with energy, joy, and possibility. And in that, he had truly changed the world. The muscle health movement had changed the course of history in ways that no one could have predicted. What started as a conversation about longevity, strength, and vitality had morphed into a global revolution that reshaped the way people of all ages viewed aging, health, and the body. As the world began to embrace the idea that strength was not just a physical attribute but a lifestyle choice, the very concept of growing old had been redefined. Elon Musk, now well into his late 60s, sat in his private office, a space filled with mementos of his numerous ventures and accomplishments. Looking out over the sprawling cityscape, he found himself reflecting on the journey that had brought him here. The journey had begun not with a desire for recognition, but with a simple question: how can we live better, for longer? Throughout his career, Musk had often been seen as a pioneer, a visionary who sought to push the boundaries of possibility. Yet, the Muscle Health Initiative had become something far more personal for him. The impact it had made on the lives of seniors, on entire societies, was something that transcended anything he had ever imagined when he first started his work in health technology. The movement had not only extended lives but had infused them with meaning, purpose, and strength. It had allowed people to reclaim their independence, to live their later years not in decline but in empowerment. He thought back to the moments when the idea had first come to him. The conversations with health experts, the research that seemed to uncover new possibilities for the future of aging, and the partnerships that began to form with universities, fitness companies, and non-profit organizations. The more he learned, the more he understood that it wasn't just about technology or innovation, it was about human connection. Muscle health wasn't just about lifting weights or protein shakes, it was about giving people the tools to take ownership of their bodies, to maintain their independence, and to live with dignity at every stage of life. The social and economic shifts that had taken place were also monumental. Seniors were no longer burdened by the limitations of aging. They were healthier, more independent, and less reliant on medical systems. Economies, once on the brink of collapse under the weight of aging populations, had found new vitality in the form of healthier seniors who were more active, contributing to society in new ways. The healthcare system had also been transformed. Medical costs were driven down as fewer seniors required long-term care for age-related ailments. As the population grew stronger, healthier, and more independent, resources were freed up to address the needs of other groups, like children and low-income families, creating a more equitable distribution of healthcare services. Healthcare workers, doctors, and physiotherapists had become not only healers but teachers, educators of muscle health and longevity, spreading the message that strength was key to a better life. Musk had always been a man of action, and even now, as his body aged like anyone else's, he continued to push forward with new projects that aimed to integrate muscle health with emerging technologies. The world was on the cusp of even greater advancements in AI-driven healthcare, where personalized nutrition and exercise plans could be dynamically adjusted in real time to meet the needs of an individual's body. This vision wasn't just a dream, it was already becoming a reality. And yet, despite the profound impact of the muscle health movement, Musk was aware that the battle wasn't over. There were still millions of people around the world who didn't have access to the benefits of muscle health. Poverty, lack of education, and limited access to healthcare were challenges that continued to exist. But Musk had learned something powerful through this journey: change didn't happen overnight, and it didn't happen alone. It took a network of like-minded individuals, doctors, scientists, influencers, activists, and everyday people, working together to build a movement that could rise above barriers. One of the proudest moments for Musk had come when the global community began to embrace muscle health as a core component of education. Schools, from elementary to high school, had started to integrate muscle health principles into their curricula. Children were learning from an early age the importance of physical activity, strength training, and nutrition. These young minds would grow up not only healthier but with a mindset that viewed aging as an opportunity, not a decline. They would carry this philosophy with them for the rest of their lives, ensuring that the next generation would never see aging the same way previous generations had. But for Musk, it was not just about seeing change, it was about leaving a legacy. He had seen firsthand the difference muscle health could make in a person's life. From the frail senior who had found a renewed sense of strength through strength training, to the young person who had invested in their muscle health from an early age and avoided the chronic conditions that plagued their parents and grandparents. The work was far from done, but the seeds had been planted, and the world was already experiencing the fruits of that labor. As Musk sat back in his chair, reflecting on everything that had been accomplished, he felt a deep sense of gratitude. Gratitude for the researchers who had believed in the vision, for the seniors who had embraced the movement with open arms, and for the countless individuals who had worked tirelessly to bring muscle health to the forefront of global consciousness. He thought about the families who had benefited from the health improvements, the communities that had thrived, and the countless stories of transformation that had unfolded over the years. In that moment, Musk understood that the true measure of success was not in the wealth he had accumulated or the technologies he had developed, but in the lives he had changed. The muscle health movement had become his true legacy, a legacy that would continue to inspire generations to come. He smiled, knowing that the story was far from over. As technology, medicine, and human resilience continued to evolve, the world had been forever altered. People were living stronger, longer, and more fulfilling lives. And in that truth, there was an undeniable sense of hope. The world had found strength, not just in muscle, but in the human spirit. Hit subscribe and leave a comment with where you're watching from. This story might just spark a new beginning. What's one thing that always pushes you forward, even when things get tough?